to 1-4 Podcast. We're live from the Slaughterhouse tonight, boys.
Sounds good.
Really like that. I'm your host, the overweight cruiserweight, Jamie Bell.
Co-host.
It's his podcast.
Kate Johansson and friends.
Yeah. Across the ring from me is the Pepsi Kid still.
Yep.
We're going that every
Pepsi Kid.
Pepsi Kid, Callum McInnes. The African sweet sensation, Kate Johansson. Say hello.
Hello.
Can you do a break? And returning this week, the proverbial Crimson Mask, Mr. James Hogan.
He's back.
Howdy.
So, once again, I say this every week, but thank you for listening to us, downloading us. We really appreciate it. Like I say, we're four guys. We love wrestling. We want to talk about anything you want us to talk about, any company around the world. Keep checking us out. Keep downloading. We appreciate it. On to that, boys. Let's get into it. The Heat. Bullet Club. The Too Sweet controversy.
Where do we start?
Let's start?
Should we start with the
Madison?
invasion?
Should we start with the Madison Square Garden incident?
Go on.
The curtain call.
Right in the roots of the Too Sweet.
Yeah.
Once upon a time,
Go back.
Sweet was thrown up.
You see, that's the thing that's confusing me about all of this. If you haven't heard, basically, WWE, I think they're basically getting sick and tired of everybody just throwing up the horns, you know, and they feel like it's kind of been bastardized, I guess, and they're like, no, our guys, when we had them in the 90s, all the big guys that everyone has taken it from, they were with our company when they came up with it, when it was the clique, so technically that's ours. Now, I'm not being funny, but those four people ended up breaking up, they went to different companies, it was a backstage thing, it was never acknowledged until kind of after the fact. That is a big stretch for a company like the Fed to like try and stop a hand gesture. This kind of runs in parallel as well. I don't know if you've heard, but Gene Simmons is trying to copyright the rock and roll, like the metal horns.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He's actually trying to do
my
that. How
God.
on earth are you supposed to, like, how are you supposed to punish that? If it gets
Sue everyone for...
Yeah, how does that work? How on earth are you supposed to regulate that? Like, I understand with wrestling it's kind of different because when you're on TV, it's, you know, you could basically treat it as like a blade job. It'd be like, oh,
yeah,
I saw you do it on your entrance, I saw you do it in the ring or whatever. So no, not having any of that.
I understand
You're getting fined. But
stopping using it on merchandise because you can find the merchandise. You can say cease and desist. You're not allowed to do that. But like you said, if it's just someone using it on a show, what kind of punishment do you take for that? Like,
especially
what damages were done?
especially on a house show as well.
Yeah.
Like, how on earth are you supposed to regulate that? Like, they came to the Young Bucks came to the ring and threw up Too Sweet. But, okay, and?
What do you want us to do?
Yeah. Oh, there was no cameras rolling. Oh no, but somebody in the audience was doing a video of the entrance and they saw it. Okay.
It's
Come on.
It's another case of WWE want to have a say on everything and want to be able to affect everything. And the Bullet Club, the hottest act in professional wrestling, arguably, at least in independent wrestling, throwing up the Too Sweet, they want to just, throw the stick in and stop them. Yeah, you know what I mean? Give it a good old stare. They benefit nothing from this. They're not losing out on anything from stopping, from letting them use the Too Sweet. So they're just doing it to be...
Unless you never know, they might, because say Finn Balor has not really been doing too much. What if they're putting with Gallows and Anderson and they're wanting to use the Too Sweet?
Why can't everybody use it?
But you can't stop someone doing a hand gesture.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
It's the Turkish Wolf sound.
yeah,
If you want to be smarky about it.
it's the bull. It's the Texas bull. It's what JBL and the APA did at WrestleMania 17. At WrestleMania 17. It's the exact same because they were in Texas, throwing out the bull horns.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. It's been appropriated for all different things, all different sports, all different forms of entertainment. Then again, I guess the Fed wasn't a precedent for this, the fact that they managed to get the crotch chop.
Yeah.
They managed to kind of like wrangle that in because it's affiliated with DX.
Yeah, if you follow Being the Elite, which is the Young Bucks YouTube show, throughout that you learn what's been ceased and desisted by WWE. they have this character called the WWE Stooge
Okay.
who leaves some mysterious letters, kidnaps Hangman Page, and sometimes
Well, they
these
killed him the last.
they killed.
Matty
They-
shot him.
Yeah,
Wow.
So spoilers,
Oh, he's going down for murder. I
spoilers,
guess.
but
How many episodes is there?
73 so far.
So I'm 72 behind.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Well,
All right.
in the being the Elite universe, they poisoned Adam Cole and they killed him off the show.
Wow.
And when he appeared in WWE, they've brought back the ghost of Adam Cole to haunt them.
Amazing.
So yeah, that's the kind of comedy you get on the show.
I love it.
But also they brought in the fact that they've been told not to use the crotch chop.
So every time they say suck it, even if it's them telling them just suck your drink through a straw,
it's
they'll
beeped.
beep it out. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? So,
And it's like, oh yeah, I'll just suck it, and it just beeps it out every
Amazing.
time. So
Absolutely amazing.
and I was reading a Reddit AMA last night, which is where people can just ask wrestlers anything they want, and they were saying it's legitimate that they've been told to stop using the crotch chop, they're too sweet, suck it, all of it.
Yeah. I can.
and fuck the revival.
Fuck the
There you
revival.
go.
No,
Yeah,
that's
well, there you
it.
go. And I think that
Yeah.
might all be probably the big reason why is because you look at the Young Bucks, you look at what the Bullet Club and what Cody Rhodes is doing. They've been taking pop shots at the Fed for a long while. It only makes sense now that I think maybe the rising popularity of the Young Bucks isn't just because of their in-ring talent. It's also because of like as you say, because of this series that they have, because they've got this following all over the world, they're able to bounce from Fed to, not Fed, sorry.
They're probably
from-
sell
from-
more merch than half of the WWE.
I
so.
heard actually on Pro Wrestling Tees alone, in the last year they've sold 100,000 t-shirts.
That's incredible.
It's
like,
yeah, it's
100,000.
Well done to them.
Just on one website.
So house shows, they'll, especially when they come over to the UK, I think it was their recent tour with OTT, they made more money than they've ever had like at any other show from how many shirts they sold
Yeah.
and pictures and DVDs and
And I think maybe because of that amount of money being moved around, because all of that money is being kind of shoved in the Fed's face, you could
It's in
almost
Hot
say that
Topic now as well, isn't it?
well, there you go. It's the Fed trying to put a pin in it. They're going, come on now, you've taken the piss out of our guys. Cody Rhodes and the rest of Bullet Club did an Evolution parody. You know, as
The
you said, fuck,
invasion parody.
yeah.
So good.
like fuck the revival, all this stuff. It's
Or-
all pot shots.
As Hangman Page says, because you can't say fuck the revival anymore, it's hashtag to heck with those who shall not be named.
There you go.
And they are allowed to say that.
Yes,
Till WWE trademark it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's an unusual thing, but I guess when you kind of peel back the layers and you kind of realise the goings on, especially with who it's targeting, particularly,
Yeah.
you can maybe start to make sense of it and tidy all the wires around, because it does seem like such an unusual thing.
Yeah, it really does. I mean,
It's
It's-
petty. I think it's
look,
petty. I think
it
it's
is petty. It absolutely is petty, but I can kind of see why they do it. If there's this hot act which is taking maybe some revenue from you, you're gonna want a chunk of
Yeah.
that.
Do you think?
A hot
do you
act at
think
WWE,
the? Do you
Well,
think
need
the
and they don't need.
Yeah, but do you think the invasions were they thought right? Enough's enough.
I think they put the hornet's nest, and
Well,
they
I-
got
It's not that, because
Look
WWE did
out,
that to
Finn
WCW,
Balor,
didn't
come
they?
out.
yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
and it's happened the other way around as well. This isn't the first time that the Fed have bitten for something that's happened in the mid-90s. WCW claimed that they were getting the Ultimate Warrior to come and join them, and it was all a ruse. The same way that in the New Generation era, they claimed that Razor Ramon and Diesel was still on the payroll
Yeah.
after the
Yeah.
Outsiders
The
had already
Outsiders.
appeared on the WCW. It's exactly but all if,
Technically,
if,
they did appear again.
yeah.
Just face
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It was Glenn Jacobs and
I can't remember his name now.
I feel bad for forgetting his name, but yeah.
I don't know, that gimmick was shite.
But
It just did not
this
work.
isn't the first time that it's happened. It isn't the first time that wool has been pulled over the rise about something like this and taking pop shots. But if anything, now that say for example we didn't do this podcast, we didn't know that much about what was going on around the world and the indie scene. The fact that the Fed are going, oh, other people are using this too sweet thing, and we're going to try and stop them. That makes me want to look out and find out who it is that's doing it.
Absolutely.
They're allowing their fan base, the people that follow them and are interested in wrestling news, to go, wait, what's happening? I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look further afield.
And
to
they're
really
going to
tell
be
you.
entertained.
Yeah.
It's the Young Bucks.
Yeah,
I
it's super
think-
kick
I think
parties.
it's- Yeah, I think it's one of those because the whole Hot Topic situation was the manager was at WrestleMania weekend and he was just seeing so many Young Bucks, so many Bullet Club T-shirts, so many Elite T-shirts that he contacted like the person, well, their contact at WWE, that
Right.
and he was like, "What are these shirts? We want in on these shirts." And like, "Oh, actually, like they're shirts of somebody else."
Yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
that's what led to Hot Topic reaching out for the first time to independent wrestlers to then get a series of Bullet Club and Young Bucks T-shirts in, and Kenny Omega. They sold out within a day, like the quickest any T-shirts ever sold out
Yeah.
there. And now they're across every
They're
Hot
actually
Topic.
Hot Topic's bestseller right
Is
now.
it? And that's a big step for indie
Bearing
wrestling.
in mind,
Oh,
Hot
huge.
Topic has WWE T-shirts in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Maybe this
that is a
pisses
huge
WWE off
step.
as well, and maybe they're pissed off at the fact that there's this act out there who don't need the WWE.
But
You know?
Oh,
It's-
well, Cody Rhodes is making more
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
now than he ever did in WWE.
There's
This
people
is-
proving they don't need to work for the WWE.
Which is ironic because the reason he left wasn't financial.
no, it wasn't. It was
like, I
character
don't care if
driven.
I earn less, I just
Yeah.
want to go out there and have fun, and now
Yeah.
he's earning
And look
more.
what he's doing
so it's
now.
like,
There you go.
He's
Making
making
it.
himself a megastar.
He is.
They're going to beg for him to come back one day.
Can we just talk about if there'd be a bigger act if they had a certain wrestler affiliated with them though? I think you all know who I'm talking about.
Well, brother.
That's it. How big would the Bullet
Oh,
Club
okay,
be?
it's like he's in the room.
Jim Cornette will be here soon as well.
Oh,
I'm
great.
expecting
I
him
can't
soon.
wait. Yeah, let's
he'll
wrap
be
this
here
up.
at some point.
But how big would the Bullet Club be with the backing of Hulk Hogan?
well, they've flirted at it quite a lot, haven't they? Where Hulk Hogan's been saying he'd love to do something with the Bullet Club, and the Young Bucks in
Of course
like,
he would.
Of course he would. He put the
Of
belt on
course he
himself.
Oh, come on, anything to make him relevant still, brother. Come on.
But the Young Bucks mentioned that they want Hulk Hogan to do something with them in New Japan, and that being even if it was something along the lines of accompanying them to the ring, doing like air guitars with the Young Bucks, like Wrestle Kingdom, Hulk Hogan.
Hogan
there
does
would
bring,
be,
no matter how old he is, he's still Hulk Hogan, and his name is going to bring some serious recognition.
Yeah,
For
that's
for,
it.
casual,
Yeah.
for casual fans that are just fans of Hulk Hogan, they would be like, wait, Hulk Hogan's going to be at a wrestling show.
Of course he
That's
is.
a
Yeah.
valid-
It'll be WrestleMania 9 all over again.
Yeah,
won't
yeah.
it?
So
viral.
basically, Hulk Hogan will be a glorified valet for
Yeah.
the Young Bucks,
I-
maybe.
it does make.
A 70-year-old
Will he become?
And our producer's talking on the podcast.
What's this?
What's this?
Will he?
That was
be-
our producer Dave, everybody, by the way.
I didn't even click on them. But do you think he'd become a member of Bullet Club? Will he get the black
I
and
think
white on
I
once
think
more?
he'd become an honorary.
Honorary,
member.
yeah.
The same way as Ted DiBiase was an honorary member of the NWO. He
Jeff-
was a financier.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Jeff,
Wasn't
A
he?
finance.
wasn't
Yeah.
Scott D'Amore and Jeff Jarrett like?
Yeah, because I bought my Bullet Club t-shirt off Jeff Jarrett at
Yeah,
PCW.
and that's when they were honorary.
25 quid he cost me.
What did you get? A Jeff Jarrett
No, a
t-shirt.
Bullet Club t-shirt. I bought it
He
off.
sold you a Bullet Club t-shirt.
Yeah, bought it off Jeff Jarrett. Yeah.
God.
So
It is in
My,
dire
my
straits,
options
man.
was
That's why
where
he was
he
doing
says
it.
to me, he
it
says,
wasn't there.
he says, do you want a Bullet Club t-shirt or a GFW t-shirt?
Did you say get fucked?
And this is
Well,
when,
it's
Yeah.
not even an option.
Yeah.
this was when GFW hadn't even done a live event
Yeah.
yet.
And he was selling his t-shirts
What?
for 25 quid a t-shirt. And I took a Bullet
Do you
Club.
want this really cool like designer Bullet
Yeah.
Club t-shirt, or do you want this black t-shirt with some fucking logo that looks
Yeah.
like it's a 1980s database company
Yeah.
with its fucking globe on it?
Fucking
Oh, I wonder.
Xerox
Yeah,
logo.
I'll take the Bullet Club one. You know, 25 quid, but it was worth it. And he was a nice guy. Just for
Wait,
that.
I'm sorry. I just want to. Like that situation is funny, but Jeff Jarrett working merch. Jeff Jarrett of
Oh,
all
no,
the
so,
people.
so it was a meeting.
It was a meet and greet.
Oh
So
right,
we went to
okay.
go meet him and it's like, oh.
But he was
Come on
selling
now.
his merch at the same
Oh,
time
come
as
on
taking
now,
the
you
photos.
bursted my bubble
Yeah.
now. Come on,
Hey,
I'd like
yeah.
to think
It was
that
Jeff
you
and-
walk, you
Jeff
walk
and
into
Karen.
the event.
Jeff
Karen.
Jarrett paying
There
his
you go.
dues
You
at
walk into the
PCW.
event, he's there,
Yeah.
he's handing out flyers for his fucking cash for gold Ponzi scheme he's doing, and he's what can I do for you guys? What can I do for you tonight with a little bum bag of change
Yeah.
on?
And he had Karen
Oh.
with him as well, so obviously she was, you know, the eye candy.
There you go.
Well,
Because she is
to
eye
be
candy.
fair, she was good on the show though.
She
I
was
remember-
great. She's a
So
heat magnet.
Jeff
She's
Jarrett
a-
was like in a 6-man. I can't remember Dave Rain was involved, Dave Mastiff was as well,
Yeah.
and it was as if
Dave Mastiff and Jeff
it
Jarrett.
was as if the post segment just kind of blew up and got very out of control.
Yeah. It turned
Karen,
into a shoot, didn't it?
Karen's on the mic calling Dave, I think, like a fat bastard
and all
and
this.
things like that.
Wow.
Then and she had Dave Rain's Boom title, what he used to have in
Oh,
PCW. And so she's walking off. Dave Rain's giving it all out with his mouth. And he was like, "Oh, you won't be the first girl to be wearing the Boom title." So Karen goes, "I'll be the first girl to wear it whilst riding Jeff Jarrett."
That's amazing.
I remember that, yeah. I remember that. She was great. She's a proper heat magnet. She's
Wasn't
brilliant.
our producer at that show with us?
I believe he was, wasn't you? He's not speaking again now.
I'm not too sure, but yeah, it was just the way she was like, and she said it like seductively, like, "I'll be the first one wearing it whilst riding Jeff Jarrett."
Yeah.
Jamie got a little twinge in his pants.
Karen Jarrett, man, yeah.
She is hot.
She's mega hot. And again, lovely lady.
Yeah.
Lovely lady. But that's my claim to fame. I bought a t-shirt, a Bullet t-shirt of Jeff Jarrett.
How did
I
we
don't
get
know if
from
that's-
Hulk Hogan joining the Bullet Club to...
Oh, yeah.
Honorary member.
Honorary
James's
member.
fault.
There we go.
James's fault.
Honorary member. But we all know what will happen at Wrestle Kingdom. I've said it and I'll say it again. It'll be the WrestleMania 9 all over. Somehow Hogan will end up as the world champion right in the night.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He'll walk the Young Bucks to the ring, and then by the end of it, he'll leg drop both of them.
Yeah.
And their
Terence Helen
opponents.
wins the US title off Omega.
Yeah.
I think he beats Okada.
Is
He
there,
beats Okada clean.
just throwing it out there as well, aren't you blocked on Twitter by Hogan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Actually, I'm using this as a platform now to
Yeah.
ask Hulk Hogan, if you're listening,
Don't think he's
Which he is, obviously.
why did you block me, Palace of Wisdom, on Twitter? I mean,
Not the rest of us.
the only time I've ever complained about Hulk Hogan was on episode 1, where I think it was me and
Well, it
you
wasn't me. I'm a Hulkamaniac.
ripped him apart.
So the listeners don't
So
know
if you're
who
gonna block me,
you are.
block Roman Oyster too.
Right, hang on. I need to check, right, because
The overweight cruiserweight is a Hulkamaniac.
Let's just see if any of us are blocked on
yeah,
Twitter.
and we just need to do a quick
Our
check
producer
now.
chiming in again. Just in case you all hear a random voice, that's our producer
I,
does.
I like it.
I like the
I'm not.
I like the commentary.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Are you? You're not blocked. You're not blocked. You're not
I'm not
blocked.
blocked. I'm a Hulkamaniac, man.
James.
Roman Oyster's not either.
No, I'm not blocked.
Just
So
you.
what did I do?
And if anything, I'm the one that's
Hulk
You're
hates
worse
him
than
more.
him.
I hate him more.
Hulk Hogan took the time to go on Twitter,
Type in
type in Palace
wisdom.
of Wisdom, and he blocked me.
Clint's
I
fair.
don't know. You must have abused him before.
Yeah.
But
I've never
Well,
tweeted
to be
him.
fair, speaking of Hogan beating Okada or beating Omega, on Hogan's YouTube channel, he said he feels like he's got one more match in him.
Oh, God.
Hogan
yeah.
Okada.
Omega.
Yeah, it was Strowman.
So when he got asked who, if anybody, who would it be, and he was like, "I think me and Braun Strowman could do something good together."
Me and Strowman, brother.
Strowman would kill him.
I'd watch
I
that.
don't-
Mate,
I see-
Strowman will get outpowered by Hogan,
Yeah.
get the big boot, and get the leg drop, and
Yeah.
it'll be a 1-2-3 inside
Yeah.
15 seconds.
I'll put
Yeah.
Hogan
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
I'll put Strowman over, boys. Yeah.
Hogan will beat.
We'll make him a star.
Hogan will beat Strowman quicker than Hogan's entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Hogan will hot dog and grandstand for 20
Yeah.
minutes of fucking America, fucking bald
The flag
eagles
draped
flying out
down.
with cannons and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
confetti made out of the fucking
If I beat Strowman,
Declaration
then I'll
of
put him over.
Independence.
But so,
Jets fly over.
That's it, yeah.
but Hogan versus Strowman aside, do you think if Hogan was in talks to do something at Wrestle Kingdom, that might lead to Hogan returning at WrestleMania, maybe where
Would they want to touch him if he's done that?
no? So
The
that
Bucks
might
and-
be why where they're like, actually, don't do that.
Yeah.
Come back to us. Look, they did it with JR with World of Sport.
Yeah. Is he playing?
I mean,
He's a
the-
businessman, isn't he? So he knows what he's doing.
The Fed kept the distance after the whole Gawker thing.
Mm.
After that whole tirade, they removed him, his namesake from the network, from all of his advertising
Out of the Hall of
stuff.
Fame.
Yeah,
Removed him from whole matches.
yeah,
Mm.
that's
Mm.
it. You know, it was
Nah, bring him back.
He got Benoit.
he got
Bring
well,
up Benoit.
yeah,
Not quite.
Like Jimmy Snooker's Benoit now, as well, isn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
God rest his
They're,
soul.
they're slowly bringing him back in
Can we stop
because
using the term got Benoit?
Sorry, yeah.
It's not a good term.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
he is still to this day recognised as the most famous professional wrestler ever.
Yep.
Undoubtedly, he is the man that brought wrestling to the mainstream.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
he is still worth his weight in gold.
Name
I'm
alone,
surprised
just,
Jeff
you know.
Jarrett isn't trying to sell him on the internet.
Well,
for Bitcoin.
well,
He's
oh,
worth
well,
in
you know.
global force
yeah.
gold.
Yes.
Funny you say that though, because I think it was at Mania, there was a video where Jeff Jarrett's introducing Hulk Hogan to Grado, and Grado's just fanboying out in this video, and then he asks the cameramen to turn off the cameras because he wants to talk business with Hogan. So I think Jarrett's probably been like, Hulk said you want to come back to the company and turn up in TNA, Impact, GFW, Anthem Wrestling,
God.
whatever they want to call themselves.
Well, they have a different name every week, don't they? You know?
Yeah.
It'll probably be the Hulk Hogan Wrestling Company next week or something.
What is
That'll
it
be part
this
of the
week?
deal.
Is it Impact still?
Yeah, so they're going by Impact Wrestling now.
Right.
Going back to the old ways.
For the time being.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a better name. And they've had years of branding like that. I don't understand.
I like Impact Wrestling.
I like Impact
Yeah.
Wrestling.
I like
yeah.
Impact. I think that's a perfect name.
It takes it away from the juvenile Vince Russo TNA.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Tits and ass.
tits and ass.
I don't know if I was alone, but I loved the name TNA.
Yeah.
Like,
I loved it.
It
What's
reminds
wrong,
me
with
of tits.
tits? What's wrong with tits and ass?
There's nothing wrong with it, but now we're in a generation now where we're trying to push for the Mae Young Classic. We're trying to
But
push
it stood for
equality
total
and-
non-stop action.
Yeah,
You're
it
looking
does.
too far into it.
Test you're right, TNA. Test and Albert.
Test and Albert.
I'm sorry,
But they were great as well.
they were. I love Test.
Oh,
I love
Tits was so
Albert.
underrated.
Test was so underrated.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Way too young. 34?
Yeah.
Way too young.
He didn't get Benoit, did
He didn't get Benoit.
No, he
No.
Let's get that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Get Benoit.
With a picture of your cat.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Benoit's Callum's cat, by the way, everybody. That's
I've
what
a
we're
cat
talking
The
called
about.
one that, the cat that sabotaged us on a previous episode.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
the new future endeavour.
Get Benoit.
Going back to Bullet Club though, so there's been talks for the past couple of years since Daniel Bryan had to retire that he wasn't happy having to retire and he wants to come back and wrestle. So he's been flirting with the chance of going back on the Indies once his contract's up, going to Ring of Honor. The CEO, is it Joe Koff?
Yeah.
He's mentioned that he'd invite Daniel Bryan back to Ring of Honor with open arms, and he's been doing like a flirt on social media regarding the Bullet Club, and that he's going to tap out the Bullet Club, and actually tagged in Matt, Nick Jackson,
Mighty Skull.
Cody Rhodes, and Matty Scale.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
what do you think, Bryan vs Bullet Club, Ring of Honor on New Japan?
That would be amazing. Like if Daniel Bryan finally leaves WWE, goes back.
He seems determined to do.
Yeah, to feud with the Bullet Club. I can't think of a
When's
better
his-
scenario.
When's his contract up?
I think
2018. but I'm
2018.
sure
I'm
when it
sure
comes.
it's just after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, I think Final Battle is...
January.
No, I didn't think
No,
Final
Is it?
Battle was
Oh, is
January.
it December?
What about Ring of Honor?
Final
Yeah.
Battle's the end of the year.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like the last show they have of the year. Final Battle.
Yeah, because it was Bound for Glory Nova. So I'm wondering if it will be one of their big shows, whether it's New Japan or Ring of Honor, and Daniel Bryan with a surprise.
What would you want to see?
Surprise
Would
return.
you want to see him like face a different Bullet Club member every show, or would you like to see him run the gauntlet of? Sorry about that. We had a few technical difficulties. We forgot to clear some space on the SD card before we started recording. We're all amateurs, so we're going to get back on with the podcast. We were talking about Final Battle and what Daniel Bryan should do when he comes back to Ring of Honor. I was thinking maybe you could have Daniel Bryan run the gauntlet against the Bullet Club members, or face them each on a different show. What would you like to see him do?
As soon as Bryan leaves the Fed to go back onto the Indies, he is going to be the hot commodity. He has been held back in the Fed because, as we know, it's not any other doctors that are preventing him from competing. It is their in-house doctors and physicians that are saying that they don't feel that he's right for the Fed's performance. As soon as he comes out, he is going to be so hungry. I would love to see him work his way through Bullet Club if that is something that could possibly happen. But why on earth would you want to have that happen and then run a gauntlet on one pay-per-view?
Because he said he's going to tap out the entire Bullet Club.
But as
He
a
could do
but
that
as a-
at each
but
pay-per-view.
as a
Yeah, but
promotion,
who does he start with then?
Yeah, well,
who
that's
does he
it.
start
As
with?
a promotion, you don't
yeah.
think it'd be wise to have it built out.
As a fan, I want to see him
So what
In
I'd
one
like-
night.
in one night.
What I'd like to see happen. So I think it's Best in the World. That's in June, which is quite fitting because arguably Daniel Bryan's the best in ring in the world. So I wouldn't mind if Cody Rhodes is against a red hot face, ref gets that bump, Bullet Club are down, and then Daniel Bryan makes his return, and then that way he can just strikes to everybody. He can make people tap out, do that. Cody loses the belt to this baby, and then that can set up like Cody versus Bryan, plus like other members of the Bullet Club. And,
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Definitely.
So I think, yeah, it needs to be unannounced and it needs to be at a big pay-per-view.
Oh yeah, it shouldn't be announced.
No.
Well, as a time frame, like, how do you think that would pan out? Do you think that would be something that would happen over the space of like several months? Like for like him coming out unannounced and setting up that feud, do you think that would be something that they'd be able to pan out for like 6 months or something?
Not sure if 6 months. It depends. Like, it depends how frequent it'll be in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And also how often he'll go to New Japan. Like, he might do some stuff in New Japan. Omega and Bryan would be brilliant.
I think that's what we'll be looking at. A couple of appearances per year, maybe in New Japan, just for the big matches. You Wrestle Kingdom, stuff like
But
that.
knowing Daniel Bryan, I'd be like, right, put me in the G1.
Well, I was just going to say, he's probably going to be that hungry and want to get out there. He'll book himself
I
in
think
everything.
he can feed his appetite in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And he can wrestle Omega in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. I mean, if he's smart, I mean, he doesn't have to do it, and he doesn't need to overwork himself. But you could do the whole like a member of the Bullet Club could be attacked backstage, and then they could imply, without him having to be there, they could imply that it's Daniel Bryan that did it, or that he was somehow involved. All the while he can be competing in the G1 and be making appearances elsewhere, so they can have this like slow build till the final reveal of like him being like, oh yeah, he was the guy that's been attacking people.
Everybody will know it.
Yeah, they will, but that's what makes it so
sometimes
great.
knowing doesn't take away from it.
They're never outrightly showing it. He never actually appears on screen. It's
So
all
you're still waiting
all
for that
knew.
reveal.
smoke and mirrors.
We all knew Chris Jericho was Sabres 222. You remember back in the day when it was Sabres 222?
Yeah.
But it didn't take anything away from his return.
I don't know. I think if they was doing the attacks, then fair enough. But I think if he was appearing elsewhere,
But that's the beauty of it, though. That's the beauty because how can he make an attack when he's meant to be in G1?
no, I don't.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's this. Oh, is he in cahoots with somebody else? Because
I like it.
how could I mean? Don't
But
get me
I
wrong.
think Ring of Honor are going to be his main home, so I think
Yeah.
it'd be Ring of Honor before New Japan, and
So that's why you could have the storyline stuff be happening in Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
while like the showcase matches could be.
his homecoming needs to be Ring of Honor, not just. Not New
I
Japan.
agree with that, yeah.
Like, and so I'd do what you said with the attacks, but I'd do it whilst he's on his no compete clause, so where he's not allowed to go anywhere.
Perfect.
And have it where people are attacked in Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
and
There you
then
go.
his first appearance needs to be at a pay per view on Ring of Honor television.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think it needs
That'd
to
be
be,
so cool.
it needs to be revealed when he's not wrestled anywhere else, and Ring of Honor television needs to be the first place he shows up, in my opinion.
I can't wait to hear the
Okay,
final countdown.
GFW,
GFW.
get into GFW.
Can you imagine
He
the
can tap out Jeff Jarrett.
the pop when he's coming out and the final countdown's playing and all the fans are singing along with it? That's going to be the coolest moment. I'm going to have goosebumps watching that. I know already. It's the greatest entrance theme of all time. The final countdown. You've heard it, right? You've heard him come out to the final countdown.
I don't know.
It's
still
amazing.
My favourite entrance, I think, still to this day, is Grado coming out to Goldberg. That changes into just like a player.
Yeah, that's
That
pretty
is
good.
possibly the best. But yeah, no, I get completely what you say. It's like one
I've got
of those,
goosebumps thinking about it now.
Oh snap! Here we go. It's happening, boys.
It's a song that should never be a good wrestling theme, but it is.
Yeah.
And it's them kind of moments that make you really love being a wrestling fan, where you get them goosebumps. I mean, I swear I so hope Daniel Bryan does this. I really do.
He will.
But we can, at
He's
the same
determined to get out of his contract, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's it. At the end of the day, we're only speculating about things that we would like to see happen. There's no guarantee, and there's no point in us building it up. I mean, unless, of course, if it happens, that's it. If it happens, then
You
book
heard it
us
here
on your
first.
fucking creative.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
come on now.
Also, I'd like to add, as much as I want to see Daniel Bryan come back, his health is the most important
Oh,
thing.
God, yeah.
And I'd
Yeah.
rather never see him wrestle again than wrestle one risky match.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it.
Absolutely.
But he's the one saying that he's had 3 different physicians saying that he's good, he's all clear, he can go.
I think it might just be because of. I think they were reading so many lawsuits due to concussions and head trauma, and they've put so much money into
Yeah.
the NFL investigating head trauma and concussions.
Yeah.
I
think
totally get why
that's
WWE are cautious and, you know, they're putting his health
then
there. I
like
totally...
when shoot headbutt Vince.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's one thing for one person, another for another person. It's that they are incredibly stereotypical and hypocritical. It's so daft, especially coming from the McMahons as well. Like, look at Shane as well. Obviously, they're trying to position him now as this fighting kind of corporate person. I am so surprised that Vince came out and was even involved in this. You know, don't get me wrong, he's an incredible physical condition for a man his age, but why on earth would you let that happen? Why would you say, Owens hit me in the face?
Eager. And to be fair, he's always put his body on the line to me.
Yes, he has.
He
He
doesn't need
has.
to, not at
No, he
72
doesn't.
years old as
No.
well. you
And
know.
that's the thing as well.
No matter how built you are.
And that's the thing as well. Him, at his age, why is he coming out and yet he's saying to Daniel Bryan, no, you can't. You can't do anything in the
Good
ring.
point. Good point.
Because the doctors allowed Vince is healthy enough.
Yeah, a man half
guess
his
so.
age isn't healthy enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, for a headbutt. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing as well that you need to take into account. Before all these injuries happened, Daniel Bryan's peak was when he headlined WrestleMania 30,
Yeah.
and he took out all 3 members of Evolution. It was absolutely awesome. Spoilers. But if we were expected to believe from a storyline point of view that Daniel Bryan can come out of retirement to beat every single member of the Bullet Club, that has to be a slow build as well.
Yeah.
He's got to work his way up through the ranks. He's got to prove. Well, he doesn't
However-
need to prove to anybody because he technically is. But if he's going to be the ultimate white meat babyface, put every obstacle that he can in front of him.
Bad luck, Fowler.
Oh, the only person in the Bullet Club he won't be able to beat, Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
There you go.
we've come full circle.
There you go.
Hogan,
go.
Bryan.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hogan will be the final obstacle that he just can't beat. Yeah.
Finger poke of doom.
That's it. No, but it'll be that though. Won't it? It'll be the too sweet.
sweet.
Too sweet of doom.
Boom.
Yes.
The bullhorns.
Not allowed to do
Boom.
Not allowed to do it.
Yeah, but Hogan was always a part of the clique, brother.
Right, so
Right.
before we move on to Paulcast though, Wrestle Kingdom 13, could it be Bryan there? What would you have Bryan against?
Hogan.
Omega.
Carter?
Oh, fuck. All 3 of those matches would be cool.
What, Bryan and Hogan?
Yeah. Don't tell me you wouldn't watch Bryan Hogan, you liars.
Hogan Omega.
I don't want to watch Hogan fight anybody again.
I'd watch
How
Hogan.
many back surgeries? He's 64 years old.
Just give me Hogan, Okada, and I will sign up to New Japan World again. I cancelled my subscription.
Oh,
I
that's
will
why I
sign
can't
up.
watch it.
I'm sorry.
Right, thanks
I
for telling me.
will sign up again if you give me Hogan Okada.
Wow.
The rainmaker on Hogan. His kneecaps turn to dust.
Okada's.
Yeah.
Once he hits the immovable object.
on the granite moustache that is Hogan.
God.
So,
Please no.
Hogan returning kind of brings us to our Paulcast.
Yeah, so this week we asked on Twitter if you could bring back one WWE wrestler for one more match, who would it be? The options were Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, Steve Austin, and other. So, guys, who do you think, off the top of your heads, would win that? Dave, stop looking on your phone. Stop trying to spoil it for the fans.
So I voted I'd want Shawn Michaels just because Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles would be, pun intended, phenomenal. But I think a lot of people will just vote for Punk because he'll be able to have more than one more match.
Who did you vote for, James?
I voted for Michaels.
What
I
match
think,
would you want to see?
like, there was talks at the Rumble of it being, like you said, it being Styles and Michaels. He's the gift that just keeps on giving. It's incredible, like some of the matches that he's been able to put on at the age that he is, but it's because he's a smaller guy that hasn't needed to rely on fancy acrobatics on being a big, strong guy taking massive bumps. He doesn't have to do that. He can just be in the ring, and his charisma alone can sell a match.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, some of those last few matches that he was having were big spots, you know, death-defying kind of risk-taking. He could go in the ring still because he is healthy enough. I'm sure he has. He's obviously lingering back problems because of you know, that put him into semi-retirement all those years ago. Obviously his knees and his joints just because he's getting older, but it's not like
he said he'd be able to. He just doesn't want.
Yeah,
I respect
it's,
that. Though.
It's
He's
not
actually stayed in retirement.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. It's not like with Taker. He's a big guy. When you're a big guy, you know, your knees go. You have problems with your legs, problems with your back. He takes, you know, some big spots, but he's not doing moonsaults off the top rope onto nobody. You know, he's not doing it through the announce tables like Michaels is. It's the same kind of thing. And ironically, when you look at all three guys, I say all three guys. When you look at Michaels and you look at Austin, it is back problems, knee problems, neck problems that have been plaguing these people, these older guys. They're all having to go through the same things because they've been put through the ringer. So realistically, Punk is the most kind of acceptable, understandable person.
And probable.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it was like dream comeback. It's injuries aside, if it was just one more match, who would it be?
Yeah.
So who would you want Sean to?
Michaels can make magic with anyone.
Yeah.
And he's shown that. He's proven that time and time again. I think AJ would be amazing, but I'm wondering if he could maybe make magic with Bray Wyatt. I think with Bray Wyatt being the stagnant kind of character that he is, with Bray Wyatt claiming to be this eater of worlds, he's a god among men. Shawn Michaels is a born-again Christian. He can come out and he can kind of have this pseudo revival of the Michaels Taker feud, where Taker's the dead man, Shawn Michaels comes out in the white, and you've got this kind of thing, you know, Wyatt is cutting this promo, I am a god among men, da 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 da. Michaels comes out, you're not my god. I've seen worse things than you could possibly imagine. You go on about the buzzards and this and that. I've had my demons and I've faced them, and he's cutting this proper babyface promo, and you just think, oh, you've still got it.
Yeah.
You have still got this.
I like that.
You know, and then and he's a sneaky guy as well. Michaels has shown it through his career, being able to do these random kind of run-ins, interferences, jumping from under the ring, hitting, you know, switching musics, running through the crowd, causing interference. Wyatt could get some momentum and then keep being stopped.
Wyatt's momentum's long gone there, unfortunately. Like, his stock's plummeted.
And that's the exact reason why I would have him have a match with Michael. Suddenly his stock gets lifted.
Nobody is beyond repair.
No.
Look at Jinder Mahal.
Oh, look at Jinder Mahal.
He's the modern day Maharaja.
As you say every week, what does that even mean? It means the prince, but why?
But we lost
Of
Prince. We lost Prince. We have a new one.
A prince of what?
He is
Bel-Air.
just Prince.
Bel-Air. What? It means nothing. I
It's
like Jinder Mahal, but no one's irreparable.
It's just think of an Indian name to give him, isn't it, really? And then
Right.
Yeah.
throw
So,
this at him.
anyway, Ket suggested Michaels and Styles. I'm suggesting Michaels and Wyatt. Right.
Jamie?
What does...
I'm with Kurt,
Yeah?
Michaels and Styles. I just think I'd be the greatest in-ring performer ever against the current greatest in-ring performer. Like you said, Michaels makes magic, and I think Styles is the same. I think the match they would put on would be one of the greatest matches you would ever see. So I'm 100% with Kurt on this one.
I think I'd go with Shawn Michaels versus Finn Balor.
Can I just say that I do like the Bray Wyatt one?
Yeah,
That is
well,
really
that
good.
was me trying to think outside
I
the
do
box.
like that.
Yeah.
If it's for dream match reasons, no story or anything, it's literally just one of my favourite matches I'd like to see. Finn Balor's one of my current favourites, has been for a long time. Shawn Michaels is my favourite of all time. I want to see him in a match.
He's boring, isn't he?
He's boring me, Finn Balor. And I like him.
That's
I think he's great, but
It's-
there's just something there that he's
it's
just...
the same with Wyatt. The content he's been
Yeah.
given isn't
Yeah.
good. He's nothing he can sink his teeth into.
Turn him
How
heel.
does he tell a good story with somebody who is just beaten clean twice? Wyatt is not a threat to Finn Balor.
No.
So in their second match, there was
Well,
no drama going into it.
We can
It's
build
like-
on that.
this is
like,
what I
later
mean.
on.
Like,
the predictions,
I'm going to
yeah.
get on a rant, but
Yeah.
I'll bring
Well,
this
like
up
Master
later.
Arcade rant last week.
Yeah, I'll
you
bring
go
this
on
up
yours,
later.
alright.
Like,
So, don't get me started on
So
that.
yeah, we'll
I
give
mean, I'm intrigued. Like, so Punk, who would you want him to first?
Hogan.
The producer says Hogan.
To be quite honest with you, I don't give two flying fucks about CM Punk, and I'm sick to death of hearing
Oh,
people...
edgy.
No.
Oh, contrarian
Oh, hang on,
opinion.
hang on, hang
Oh, edgy.
Hey, oh, Finn Balor's still having a little sore point here. I'm just...
Oh, I don't care about CM Punk.
I like Punk. But
I
just
don't get
sick
technology.
Of this constant... Oh, imagine this happens and this music hits and Punk comes out. It's like, just fuck off, he's
Fuck
gone.
off, you'd have goosebumps if that happened.
But I ain't fussed if he
You
comes
would.
back or not.
You'd be windmilling your penis.
And
while
he'll
it's
never,
happening.
he'll never come back to WWE.
If he come back, you change your Instagram name tomorrow to CM Punk Fans
No, I would
2017.
not.
You would.
I would
You
not.
would.
Absolutely not. But if he came back, CM Punk,
The overweight punk away.
Punk away. I might change it to that
Right,
anyway.
Right, I'm struggling to think of somebody
Yeah,
that he would gel
Punk
well
and
with.
Samoa Joe.
Well, they've already had classics, haven't they?
Yeah,
you know they
already
can
has.
go.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. If you do some digging in the back catalogue, you can find those matches, and you can find them when they were much younger. Over 10 years ago, they were having matches together, which is fantastic.
But the story and WWE, everything seems a bigger scale.
Yeah, so I guess if you had the Fed's kind of platform to tell that story,
CM Punk, AJ Styles.
Punk, Cassius Ohno.
How about Punk and Rude?
Rick Rude.
Punk and Alistair Black.
Not
See,
Rick
I was
Rude.
thinking Punk and Alistair Black, but I think they're too similar.
One of our followers. Nah, they're very different. In-ring style, they're very different.
Can anyone just ask what's going on here with our producer tonight? Why has he suddenly got a voice?
I don't know.
Yeah, CM Punk versus Ravishing Rick Rude. That's who I meant. Yeah.
He's in tears.
Seriously.
Who do you
And just to
think that
reiterate from last week, our producer does look like Harvey Whippleman.
Alright, so I'll go with Punk versus AJ Styles. That's what I'd want to see.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
They've
Punk
both
and AJ
matured so
Styles,
much as performers
that-
since the last wrestle.
Yeah, they're both a similar
The house that
size.
AJ Styles built, but it's in the world that's CM Punk's.
Yeah,
The best
created.
of.
Yeah, that's it. So there you go. Yeah, that's.
Alright, so we'll give the actual results now. It was Shawn Michaels with 21%, Steve Austin with 31%,
Who I voted for.
and CM Punk with 41%. So you called it. CM Punk got all the votes, just about.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Which no, I mean, like for me that is surprising. Like, well, I mean, it's great. It's great that we've got so much interaction because the four of us didn't vote so clearly. You know.
Hey, we got 68 votes on that
There you
one.
go. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, everybody that's voted.
And interacted with
Yeah,
us.
and
on
interacted.
Twitter.
Keep voting for us and keep
If you've got
involved.
any suggestions for next week's podcast, drop us a tweet
Yeah,
at
One full pod.
we absolutely
Let's face it,
love.
by the time they end up tweeting us, we've already got one going. Anyways,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
still,
keep an eye out. Sorry, go on, James.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's funny that you mentioned the results because that means that 7% was other. Unfortunately, nobody commented to suggest what their other would be, but it does show that
probably
there
my
are.
mate clicking other by accident again.
Yeah.
You know, there is, like, that was just us throwing out their potential competitors. There are plenty of other people that people would love to see.
What
I'll,
female wrestler would we
Lita.
like? That can
Well,
be our poll.
you
That can be-
answered before I even finished.
Lita.
That can be our poll. What female wrestler would you like to come back to face?
That's a good one.
Shut up, Dave.
That is a good one. Yeah. I would be Lita all day long.
Brooke Hogan.
And on that bombshell, we're going to go for a quick break. We'll be back in 5 minutes with
We're getting a
our
muzzle.
No Mercy Raw SmackDown predictions.
And listen out for haps and graps during the break.
Yes, see you in 5.
Hello, Kate Johansson here with this week's Haps and Graps, where I bring to you the upcoming shows in British wrestling. So, first of all, this Preston City Wrestling, also known as PCW, they present Fright Night 2017 at the Evoke nightclub in Preston on Friday the 27th of October, and this will also be appearing live on Powerbomb TV. And after a success of their recent show, it's bigger on the inside, that also appeared live on Powerbomb TV. This is not one to be missed. In a huge main event for the PCW Heavyweight Championship, Yeston Rees is set to defend the title against Bubblegum. Also announced is Speedball Mike Bailey versus Ashton Smith, and returning to PCW is Keith Lee. Much more is set to be announced, but tickets are available at www.prestonscitywrestling.com, And if you can't make it in person, don't forget it will be aired live on Powerbomb TV, so make sure you subscribe.
Welcome back to One Fall Podcast, everyone. We're going to kick straight in with the No Mercy Raw SmackDown reviews, boys. Let's go with No Mercy. Our predictions.
Okay, so should we start with whoever got the most predictions right?
He sat there with a big grin on his face.
Yeah, so it's
James.
just, right, so I wasn't involved in last week's podcast, so my predictions didn't go live the same as they did with everybody else.
I think his predictions have been different if he was sat with us.
Well,
And he was
because
involved in the discussion.
we'd have influenced him, you mean?
Yeah.
Like, we'd have seen...
I don't
They're
think
only-
James is easily influenced.
They're only sulking because I got the most predictions right. When they asked me about the card, I said, working from top to bottom, I believe I said Strowman. Then I said Neville. Now, if you look at the card, those were the only two I got wrong, because I said that Ambrose and Rollins would win.
Which all of us got that one
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I said that Bliss would win.
Yeah, I said
Which
that one.
I got that one right.
I
Yeah.
said Emma.
He said Emma.
Hey, she put a good fair in. That was a fantastic fatal five-way.
It was.
Considering the landscape of the women's division at the moment. What else was on the card? Let's see. I even went into detail
Miz
about
Jordan.
Miz Jordan. I said exactly how that match was going to go down. I said he was going to put up a fucking sterling effort, suplexes to everyone, but ultimately he was going to fall to interference, so that
Yeah.
he came off as a fighting babyface.
Yeah.
You know, and he put on a good show. It's a shame that they had to do an interview with him immediately after, because good lord did he tank. But absolutely smashed it. Let's see what else was there on the pay-per-view. Sorry, there was
Balor Wyatt.
Balor Wyatt. I called Balor.
Yeah, I said Wyatt.
We said Wyatt, yeah.
Wyatt, yeah.
Yeah.
What were we playing at?
I don't know why.
It's because he was good as a man was like, yeah.
What
Reigns,
else?
Cena.
I said Reigns.
Yeah,
We
we
saw
said
that
Reigns.
Mal. Saw
You
that
said
off.
Cena.
I said Cena.
I said Reigns.
Right, I said
That
Red.
schmuck
There you
said
go.
I said Cena.
What was on the pre-show? I don't know if we included
No,
the
we
pre-show.
didn't.
Right, so
Elias
there you
and
go.
then,
It was the last two matches that tripped me up.
Yeah.
And ironically, we can go into detail after we've discussed everyone else's results about how we felt. So I won 5 out of 7. Sorry,
Kate with 4.
4 out of 7.
And
Balor
we got
three.
a gentleman's
No, I thought
free.
you
We
got
did,
7.
yes.
No, I wasn't a 4
Also,
out.
See, so and
3 and 3.
I was adamant that Enzo was going to win, but I still went for Neville because I was like, surely.
You did
the-
say that, I remember.
yeah,
you
well,
did,
and I
yeah.
said we're
It's
all
too
gonna be
late
wrong,
now,
so
yeah.
it would have been
Yeah.
tied.
It's already on the spreadsheet now. You got that one wrong.
Oh, no, I didn't.
You still didn't come bottom though, and that was me and Jamie.
Yeah,
Tied bottom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unlucky, but that was a good effort though.
So well, neither of us are dead bottom.
No.
No,
You got-
we're tied bottom.
So
Tied
are we doing it? Are we doing it as a point system where top gets 2 points, second gets 1,
Yeah, like we said,
then
it's
third and
the
fourth get nothing?
it's the G1 fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
We get the forfeit. Or one of us does.
come WrestleMania. We'll tally it all up at WrestleMania. See who's got the most points.
So if we're all going to Mania, we're doing the forfeit in Mania.
Yes, we'll record it at WrestleMania.
I won't be a
Ooh.
Mania.
The night in an
Ah.
American cell. That'll be interesting.
Right. Well, if either way, we'll do it when we get back then.
yeah,
But
we'll figure it out.
We'll
but-
tally it up at WrestleMania. Whoever comes dead last has to do a forfeit, and I think there should be 2 lighter forfeits for the people who didn't win as well.
No, I just think the person at rock
We'll
bottom.
see about we'll
I think person at rock
we'll work
bottom.
it out
There's kinks to the system, but at the end of the day, I'm going to sit proud and tall.
on your throne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice 5 out of 7. Not complaining with that result at all. Well, actually, I say I don't complain about that result. I do complain about the main event. Now, this is something that me and Kurt have spoken briefly about before the podcast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Because we have differing views on how the match should have gone. I will admit that even though my prediction was wrong and I did lose on that, it's
It was the right
understandable for Lesnar to win. I am just really mad with how the match panned out.
I don't know. I thought Strowman battered him until Lesnar finally got into it, and so the big thing that we disagree with was it only took 1 F5, but Braun Strowman's never had any, like, apart from an ambulance, he's never had somebody in the ring give him that much abuse. So taking, 4, 5, 6 German suplexes, somebody with a big guy that's never experienced that.
Yeah, but I don't think you can compare that to being smashed up in an ambulance.
But it's in the ring.
Okay, so
and then the Kimura, it showed Strowman vulnerable for the first time.
Right. You've made a lot of valid points, but there is a problem with everything that you're saying, because if you examined it as an isolated incident, you can go, right, fair enough. I'd still have a bit of issues, but on the card, and this is the problem, we've seen Cena Reigns kick the ever-loving shit out of each other, exchanging finishers and signature moves like that don't mean anything. I'm all for them protecting finishers, because at the end of the day, that's the thing that's meant to be the punctuation mark. That's the cool, we're going for the 1, 2, 3. Now, the Cena Reigns match, that was full of suspense, full of near falls, exactly what you want. That's exactly what you expect from the two of the biggest names in wrestling at the moment being in a match one-on-one. Now, when it came to the title, there's going to be, it's more than just pride that's on the line here. It's an actual title. Some people disagree that Lesnar should be holding the title for as long as he is, especially with him being a part-timer. The build that they've had to this match has been fantastic. I'm upset that the match was so short. I don't mind that Strowman lost, but I think as a guy that big, he should be able to take more punishment. Cena, how many suplexes did it take for Lesnar to hit Cena with before he pinned him?
16, wasn't it? I think, was it?
Yeah. At SummerSlam.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
It's a different like, because Strowman's had the better of Brock Lesnar for the full build-up, so it's not as if Strowman's looking weak, and Strowman's never had that physical, like, anybody dominate him like Brock did in the end of the match. Plus, he was on about the near falls from Reigns and Cena. Neither of them are Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar's one of the toughest guys on the planet.
He is, and I'll give you that.
I think even though they don't protect finishers as much as they should, I was glad that they protected Lesnar's. I don't agree with Strowman kicking out of an F5. What I would possibly do is F5, Lesnar look at him like, no, he's going to need another one.
Right,
so then
now there you,
he could have two.
That's better.
Now you're talking my language. That's something that I could believe. And they started to imply like that the weight disadvantage, because Strowman has got over 100 pounds on Lesnar. He's going to struggle to get him up, but then at the same time they were pegging it off. Oh, he's the big man. This entire time that they've been building to this feud, it's been Strowman taking the torch from Big Show as being the big man. That is what he is. He is more than a man. He is a monster. Heyman has put in his fair share as well, building him up. He is more than a man. Lesnar's been able to pick up bigger men than Strowman and F5 them with ease.
Yep.
Big Show, easily done. Taker, Kane, easily done. Mark Henry, easily done. I don't know if he ever came face-to-face with Khali, but again, it would be relatively easily done. Strowman, I'm glad that he was able to get in multiple power slams. It's a nice, safe, easy finish. He's a big guy. You'd expect it to hurt.
Yeah.
That's fine for Lesnar to kick out. The Kimura lock, come on now. He applied it. He was stood up. Fair enough. What did he do immediately? Grabbed hold of the ropes. No break. Locked him into the turnbuckle.
It wasn't as much.
No break.
Yeah, I think
got him on the floor. Was already holding the ropes. No break. Then he worked him into the middle of the ring, and then they did the pantomime stuff. Technically, that wear down, if they were going to do it, it should have been there, right in the middle of the ring.
I'm not too sure, because it didn't properly grab the... So what they was doing, it was as if he was like smashing Lesnar into the corner.
Yeah, but
so
that was after he was already holding the ropes, and then he was able to run him in.
What do you do when somebody's got the Kimura in, but he's smashing somebody into the corner? It was as if he's doing a move to Brock Lesnar's Kimura. Like,
yeah, I get for the sake of storyline, like they had to kind of give that lenience to bend the rules a little bit, because I understand. He hopped in. He was like front facing.
When do they stick to rules these days?
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
they don't.
But it was.
I thought it told a good story.
If they had more time to lean on that whole Lesnar's hurt, he's hurt his shoulder, he's hurt his arm, he's struggling to get the big man up. Fair enough. Like, he should have done it. The thing that would have made me kind of happy was if he hit Strowman relatively quickly and early on.
But we've seen that so many times.
With an F5. Yeah, exactly.
This was something different because so the commentators touched upon it. When Lesnar's being destroyed, it's being Goldberg doing it quickly, so it's like surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, and this is why people shouldn't be sad. Like, nobody has inflicted as much like abuse to Lesnar than Strowman did at that pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Nobody's dominated Lesnar the way Strowman in his career. Nobody's done that, and the sort of story of like F5 was the weapon, and it's because he's so big and so dominant. It's he ain't gonna get him up for the F5. It ain't gonna happen, and that's because he did. That's why he got the win. Like it was selling it where his back was giving out because of the damage that
He
he'd
did.
done.
That was good.
I thought it didn't need to be longer because there was quite a lot of long matches. And I just thought it told.
I like the idea that you
a
said,
good story.
where maybe he hits one F5, but he looks at him with a bit of doubt. Like, I'm not sure if that cover's going to get me the free count.
Yeah.
Picks him back up, hits him with another F5, gets the free count just to be safe. That would be cool.
Yeah, like, because
I'd have been happy with that.
even if the 1F5 was enough, it is showing that dominance, that killer instinct. Because, I mean, we have spoken about this before. There are very few finishers that are protected. And at the moment, I think that's the RKO and the Red Arrow. And I can't think of any other that puts them out immediately. And that's it. You see it once and it happens.
Yeah.
But I'm not even satisfied with that. They're working on it now, but I'm still not convinced.
I think there's only a couple of people that have kicked out of it, and it's Cena and Reigns.
And that's what? F5?
Yeah, and that's...
Taker.
Yeah, so those three are, like, fighters.
Yeah.
Like, it was Taker at Mania. Like, it's... Storyline-wise, it's the hardest to beat when he's at Mania. Reigns and Cena are very similar in that big match, never say die kind of attitude. And I think they needed to do it for the bigger picture because I imagine Mania could be Reigns and Brock, and that would be Reigns.
When Reigns kicks out of an F5,
yeah,
it will mean much more.
Yeah, and I think that's what it needed to do because ideally, as great as Braun is, he's never going to draw more than Roman Reigns does. He's never going to sell as much merch.
Oh no, like that.
I think for the longer term, Strowman doesn't look weak because, like I said, he's dominated Brock Lesnar more than anybody else has.
He doesn't look weak, especially after this week's Raw, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Because I think they easily patched up any damage that had been done. He looked like an absolute monster.
Yeah, and it's as if it's just like it's flipped a switch in his head again.
Yeah.
It kind of got tamed as if I'm going after the title, and I think somebody like Strowman doesn't need to do that. And now it's
make him
right.
rabid.
I'm the monster. I'm the monster again.
Yeah, it was just what can I say? It was humbling as a fan to see them ranting and raving and having him and with the talent that he has to big up Strowman, to be this behemoth, this unstoppable like freak of nature, and yet it was ultimately a very short match. And I understand that it had to be short to cover up.
I don't think it was that short.
To cover up time, because like, when was the last time that you saw Lesnar or Strowman go longer than 10 minutes? The match itself was only, 12, 13 minutes long?
About 8
They
minutes.
were both, they were both knackered by the end of it, and it's understandable.
It was high impact.
Yeah, it was high impact. There was a lot of big moves, a lot of weight being thrown around that ring, and I think that is the big thing that needs to be kind of like set on is that it was amazing to see Strowman throw Lesnar the same way Lesnar has thrown other people around.
I think it told a good enough story in that short time, because if you get two big guys, compare them to two tanks who are fighting each other, that isn't going to last very long. As soon as someone gets hit, the match is going to be over. They're both throwing the biggest shots because they're both big dudes.
Yeah.
And as soon as one of them got to hit their biggest weapon, their biggest shot, it was over.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I'm justifying it to myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's now my canon in my head.
I agree, because I kind of think out of those two, it was Lesnar needed it.
Yeah, Lesnar did need it.
Lesnar's just gone and lost twice to Goldberg. Was it twice to Goldberg?
No,
Yeah.
remorse, but then he got thrown at the Rumble by him as well. It was,
And so people looked at him and it's like, you've lost you've lost that dominance. But then they've had Strowman destroy everybody with his power slam, and I think it is to build up Brock Lesnar as that absolute animal, so that him and Reigns, and I like their first match. Like, I was kind of gutted that Rollins cashed in. It was good, but I wanted Reigns to get the title then.
Yeah, I get. You know what?
that was a great match.
Yeah, and
that was a brilliant match.
Yeah,
I am excited to see that match.
People slate it, and people are like, oh, at least I can leave WrestleMania early. You're not going to be leaving WrestleMania early. Like, at the end of the day, Brock and Reigns draw more than anybody else on that roster apart from John Cena.
Yeah.
Speaking of John Cena, then Cena Reigns.
That was brilliant.
What a match!
Could have been. It wasn't the greatest match I've seen either of them in. I think it could have been better, but for what it needed to be there, where it was just about respect and wasn't hate.
Yeah.
I thought it told a great story, and
I don't know why I went for Cena to win.
Reigns proved he's the big dog.
He did. He did.
Why
I called Cena.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty obvious
I think
chance for Cena to be able to step. You know, he's put in his graft. He's helped to boost up. And again, like Reigns needs is stop boosting because he is a heat magnet. Whether you like him or you hate him, he is heat. He is money. He is magic in this industry.
It's fucking brilliant.
He puts on a powerful showing, even though I don't like him. But again, like I can still admit when he is worth something. He is a valuable commodity.
Yeah.
He had a great match with Cena. Cena was doing his best to give the rub. You know, it made me laugh as well because afterwards, somebody posted on Twitter. I think it might have been Matthew from Botchamania. He found a picture that someone had put up, and it was of everybody that had tried to give Reigns the rub in the ring all at once. So you had The Rock.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
You had Cena. You had Bryan. You had Triple H. All like stood around him, like pointing at him and raising his arm and everything. And you're like,
personally, I don't think he's ever needed it because it's just typical certain fans that will just cry for. I've said it a few times on this podcast, I'm sure. When Reigns was in his first Rumble and he got eliminated by Batista, everybody wanted Roman Reigns. And it was like, oh, why aren't you pushing Roman Reigns? That's the guy we want pushing.
But that was not just because they didn't want Batista to.
No, because before it, everybody was wanting Reigns. Throughout the match, everyone was wanting Roman Reigns. He was the one that came through shining in the Shield. So it's like, okay, you want Roman Reigns? We'll give you. No, we don't want him now that you're giving us it. And it's the typical, unless they came from the independents, if WWE offer somebody that the fans want, they soon dislike him. Example, not to that scale, but Jason Jordan. Everybody, American Alpha Art on TV, like, they'd be both great as singles, there's both great as tag teams. Okay, well, we actually give Jason Jordan a great storyline of being Kurt Angle's. We don't want him, and it's just a typical 2017.
He's getting booed out the building every time he's there. Yeah.
It's just to me, Roman Reigns is the best guy on that roster.
He's definitely up there. He's a workhorse. He can go. I don't think I'll ever fully be 100% like, oh yeah, he's my guy. But I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
He's special.
It takes a big man.
It does.
To admit when you're wrong.
A big dog.
A big dog. An even bigger dog.
Damn right it does.
To run this yard.
Roman Reigns is the best on the roster. It's just no longer the Miz Appreciation podcast now. They're not.
Oh shit.
Have you turned on the Miz cat?
Oh.
Reigns is the most valuable person on that roster.
I don't agree.
I think. Do you not?
No, I think the Miz is.
Oh, is this going to be you talking about the red carpet thing again?
So in terms of business, Reigns will make more money.
I'm not sure he will.
But Miz,
I think it's very close. But I think the Miz as a heel brings out the money in his opponent, and the feud is money too.
The Miz,
but Miz is never.
He's becoming the man.
Yeah.
He really is.
He already is.
You know,
don't get me wrong, I love Reigns, but
well, let's talk about the Miz and Jordan. We'll talk about him then.
All right. There's not much to say really.
Not really.
I mean, it was a decent match.
James called it.
It wasn't anything special. James called it right.
Yeah.
There was interference at the end, which led towards the
I
finish.
think it was our fear why we was like voting Jordan.
See, I said Jordan to win, but not to win the belt. You know, I thought he'd win by DQ or something. But
Yeah.
which is a fair outcome because you're still kind of trying to hedge your bets. Excuse me. I think with the way that they're building the Miz to rise, the way that they're there to protect, they're there to help. There was never any doubt in my mind. Everyone's hoping for, ironically as well, this kind of tells back to our podcast. Angle never got brought up. Angle was never mentioned about having another match in the Fed.
I think it's because people are expecting and he's already in that, and I think a lot of people was just shying away from voting over. There was like, which one out of those three would I prefer?
Yeah.
I think if we could do a longer list than 4, then I reckon it'd be.
Well, regardless,
So instead of over on our next one, we'll
excuse me.
Add a 4th option.
Yeah.
Well, with Angle not necessarily being somebody that we could see in a match anytime soon, whether it be because of health or just contractual obligations, seeing them trying to craft Jordan into this new, young, hungry Angle type character. In ring, he's there. But on the mic, after the match, they proved he is green as grass. Yeah. And
however, is that just because of the material being given, or I think it's a bit of both? But I think if you turn him heel, he'll be landing a ball.
Do you know why American Alpha worked originally? Because Chad Gable, even though he's got the in-ring talent, Chad Gable had the comedic timing of Kurt Angle. Jason Jordan had the power and intensity of Kurt Angle, and together they were the tag team version of Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
And now you split them up, you can see the weaknesses in Jason Jordan, the lack of mic skills.
Yeah. As
talented as Chad Gable is, he doesn't have the height which they'll look for.
Yeah.
And together they made the perfect tag team.
And that's the thing as well. I'm glad to see that tag teams like the New Day and the Usos and Sheamus and Cesaro and Ambrose and Rollins are thriving. They're able to have a platform to go, look, as two people doing moves together, working together, we can make this work. There needs to be more opportunity for competitors and in-ring work to develop. They shouldn't have broken up American Alpha when they did. They should have had more time to develop, so that when they did finally break up, it was worth something. Like when the Shield finally broke up.
I have to disagree. I think having the honour to call yourself in storyline, Kurt Angle's son, should be making people happy, because as a singles push for a team that's broken out of NXT, I think that's one of the biggest. He'll always have some sort of worth because he's Kurt Angle's son, and they'll always have an angle to work with Jason Jordan.
There's absolutely no denying that the rub, the name recognition alone isn't worth something. But as Callum said, they are two halves of one whole kind of team that is Kurt Angle in spirit and in ring performance, and more time to work, more time to bounce and work off of other teams like the Usos, who are heels and they know their way around a mic. Teams like the New Day, which are face, and know their way around a mic. They know how to feed off of the audience. They know when to talk, when not to talk, and let their in-ring skills do the talking for them.
The fans weren't interested in Alpha.
But is that only because they were having dull matches against?
They didn't have
when they were even on TV.
The
attention and other teams
but even
like that.
Even when they was facing like Usos and stuff, like people didn't seem that bothered about it. And because the way they've split up. I like it because I hate when it's always teams turning on each other. The way they've done it, there's nothing saying that they can't get.
Yeah, I get that they can't just bring them back in the future. I would like to have seen a little bit more, not dissension between the two, but like maybe instead of him going straight over to Raw, Jason's like, I'm thinking of going over to Raw with my dad. And Gable's like, really? You're going to leave me here on SmackDown? You're going to finish, like you're going to just leave me here? We're not going to do this tag team anymore? And Jason finally goes, it's, just have some continuity there.
And that's the thing as well, like, even if they didn't do that, and it was like a mutual breakup, like, when, what was it?
To be honest, if I was in a tag team with one of you and my dad turned out to be Kurt Angle and he wanted to be on Raw, I'd be like, see you later, boys.
Like,
I'm going to get pushed to the moon.
To be fair,
there's no
I know
reason,
you would.
There's no obvious.
So would you.
I'd be off.
like Kurt said, the tag team dissension angle has been done to death. We've seen it plenty of times. We've seen it with Strikeforce. We've seen it with the Rockers.
It seems to be the only angle when you're in a tag team, doesn't it?
Yeah, and there's no reason why. Like, and again, I'm pretty sure that they did it like Bubba Ray and Devon when they had the original brand split. They got split up, and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe it, like gutted.
Reverend Devon.
Yeah, obviously, but again, like it was, well, they got split up because of business, not because they don't work well together, not because they don't get along, not because they hate each other. It was just, no, we are doing this for a storyline purpose. There is always that glint, that hope that they will be worked together again. What would happen if there was an inter-branded pay-per-view and there were still mates and they could interfere in each other's matches? Suddenly, we're taking over the roster one brand at a time, individually.
Yeah.
You've got all these kind of things that could work, that could happen. Helps to make things more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree. Like,
And we all agree though that Jason Jordan will turn heel.
I
I think he needs a heel turn.
I don't think he has a choice.
Yeah.
At this point,
I agree.
I think the fans will turn him.
They've already turned.
Yeah,
It's as simple as that. He's damaged goods at this point as a face.
I think a heel turn. Like you said, I think he'll be a megastar if he turns heel.
He'll be a megastar as a heel. There's nothing they'll be able to do at this point to make him a likeable face to the fans.
I already feel like he's got that cocky demeanour. Just the way, the way he walks
He's
in the ring, that little...
self-entitled.
Yeah.
When he's not tripping up the steps.
Yeah.
He is clumsy.
How good was... So, moving on, how good was Cesaro?
We said it before about grabbing the brass ring.
Yeah.
You want to talk about working through an injury. Now, I have no idea what working through an injury in a match could possibly be like. I can't even begin to imagine some of the injuries that people in ring have faced and have carried on.
My teeth halfway up to my gums are there, though.
But taking such a very clear, a very visceral, bad spot, medically, they forced his two front teeth 3 to 4 millimeters into his skull.
Yeah.
They split his gums entirely. No,
Into his
it
skull.
goes into his skull. Completely split his gums
Actually,
into his skull.
Yeah.
There was blood everywhere. That ring was his for blood.
Yeah.
It was.
And he was smiling
because he knew.
I don't know. I think it was just like
because he knew he was still taking kicks and punches to the face. He didn't. The guys in ring didn't pull their punches. They carried on as far as I can tell.
How good was the spot where he caught Rollins Springboard Hurricanrana and then caught him and did the powerbomb?
How that was not the match ender is beyond me. That
because Rollins and Ambrose was winning. That was the match ender then.
This guy.
This
one put him in creative Mr. Psychology. Fucking hell. You want to get my attention. You want to make sure I'm paying attention. You hit a white noise, then a powerbomb off the top rope, reversing a Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Was it a kick out or was it a
breaker?
It was a kick out because it was powerbombed onto Ambrose. So Ambrose kicked out of a white noise and a powerbomb.
Yeah.
2017.
Yeah.
Again,
but this only leans into the whole protecting your finishers.
Yeah.
Like, give with one hand, take away with the
Tell
other.
you what, who does protect finishers? Usos and Yuda for their tag finishers.
There you go.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
Is there anything, before we move on, quickly touch upon Enzo and Neville.
Well, we're going to talk about that in our free count.
Yeah. We'll talk about
leave
women's
that
match
to the
as
freak
well.
out.
Yeah.
Women's match.
Yeah, the tag match for me that stole the show.
Yeah.
Cesaro,
match of the night.
He, again, what a fighter! Absolutely unreal. I still think he is one of the top talent in the Fed.
Yeah.
And he's proving it just every single matchup, whether he's on his own or he's in a tag team.
Absolutely.
Absolute perfection. So women's match,
Women's
fatal
match.
5-way.
We called Sasha, didn't we? Me.
You called Sasha.
You called Sasha.
I called
yeah.
Emma.
I called Bliss.
Oh, you called Bliss. Sorry, I called Bliss. Sorry, yes, I meant. Sorry.
I called the winner.
Yeah.
So I
You
called
called
Bliss.
the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, we called Bliss and Callum called Emma, didn't you?
I said Emma.
I think
because
I
love
think
Emma.
as far as five ways go, that was a really good match.
Bad match
It
at all.
was.
Yeah.
Bad match
Sometimes people can get all over the shop, and I think was it a 6-way at Mania where it wasn't on SmackDown where it wasn't that good, where it was just rushed and
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it
it
all
was.
muddled.
this one they had time,
Yeah.
and I think the way they worked Nia Jax in the match was brilliant, and that powerbomb.
Yeah. Oh, that looked like it
was-
hurt.
Yeah.
You know. That looked like it hurt.
No,
Yeah.
I thought that match was.
Yeah,
I
and
thought that was class.
Yeah.
I'm really wanting a Bailey heel turn.
They need to go Sasha heel.
The
Sasha
t-
will be
the-
the better heel.
Well, the
Agreed.
teasing
Bailey-
that dissension with
Yeah.
Bailey and
Yeah.
Sasha, the breaking up the near falls, getting in each other's faces,
Sasha
that
is
kind of
money as a heel.
yeah, and
she is
Bailey
money.
sells the kid.
Yeah.
Sells merch.
I'm sure they'll turn
So-
Sasha, but I really would like to turn Bailey.
So would I, but because Sasha's so flat at the moment, and her seems like weekly rants on different podcasts of
Well,
burying.
she's frustrated.
Yeah, she's burying it. So I think, and people have been getting annoyed with her, and she needs to be the one that goes heel because people will just cheer Bailey. Because if Bailey turns heel and starts attacking Sasha, people are cheering Bailey. Sasha will still get the boos. Whereas if Sasha does turn heel, then it is you might get the reaction you're supposed to be getting as Sasha will
Agreed,
get booed,
yeah.
Bailey will get.
Have you realised Sasha puts on better matches as a heel as well? Like,
Yeah, because she just seems like a vicious little bitch, doesn't she?
She's an actual
but
heel.
since she's been
Well-
face, there's been no real standout matches.
Yeah.
But when she was heel, he was like, yeah, that's the match of the night.
Yeah.
And that's the main event of a takeover.
Yeah.
And do you know what I think? That one of the big reasons why the bank statement as a finish works, as a submission works, is because of it's a pullback crossface. It's a very aggressive, angry thing. It lends
looks like
itself
it
to a
hurts.
heel. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same way as the ring to Saturn with Neville. It is an ugly looking move that looks like it hurts like hell. You need a vicious, angry heel to be doing that move.
It's one of those moves where it gives if you get the right camera angle, you can see the face of the baby face in pain and agony.
Yeah, that's it.
And
It's-
it sympathises with the wrestler.
That's exactly it. And I also I want to mention like with Callum's choice with Emma. Excuse me, considering she hasn't had much of a say in terms of the women's division at all. I thought she put in a great little
she was
performance.
the.
She's a great talent.
Yeah.
She
She started the women's revolution.
Yeah,
She actually
that's
did.
it. According to that match that she had with Mickie James, she did. But case in point, that didn't go anywhere. That daft little thing that they had with Mickie James. But I thought that she pulled her weight in this match, and she never felt like an afterthought. She was involved in the fray.
The gal can go.
Yeah, the gal can go.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was a really, really good women's showing, even if it was quite short.
Yeah. So, shall we touch up on Raw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just.
Kate's got something to...
It's so I've just come across on the internet. Supposedly Enzo Amore is looking to start a rap career.
That's literally breaking news. Kate's just found that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Enzo Amore is going to be a rapper.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, you're saying rapper.
However, he wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able
All right,
to
Mr. Perfect.
use the name Enzo Amore if he leaves WWE, and that's supposedly Dave Meltzer. Yeah, that's him saying that.
Oh,
Whereas-
just only Dave
whereas-
Meltzer.
Meltzer
Only-
knows everything.
Only Tuna Meltzer, hot
Yeah.
off the press.
Yeah.
You know,
Meltzer knows everything.
that's an interesting turn of events.
You
but,
heard it here first on One Fall Podcast.
If John Cena can
I
have
don't
a
know,
rap
mate. It won't
career-
get out till Friday or Saturday, so they probably read it.
Right. Oh, is that a dig at the production times, Kate?
No, it's
Is
just.
that...
No.
He's on one tonight, isn't he? He's right on one tonight.
Is it not quick enough for Kate Johansson's podcast?
Kate Johansson with friends.
Right, so
Brilliant.
Raw.
Raw. What happened on Raw?
What happened on Raw?
I wasn't impressed with Raw.
Did you watch it?
And Roman,
Yes, I watched it.
The Miz and Roman stuff was really good, obviously.
The teasing the
Miz-
Shield reunion, aren't they?
Miz is just great. TLC needs to be
What?
Miz Taraj versus.
I read something
Shield.
today, and I forget. I always forget what I read it on. But apparently, Mr. Raj aren't the planned opponents for a Shield reunion. These are just sort of
Placeholders at the
yeah.
yeah. Well,
But
I
it
mean,
didn't say who it was going to be.
the Miz on a tag team against the Shield is something you can imagine, but the Miztourage, they don't seem like the type of people that would be any kind of opposition at
They'd
all.
get absolutely paggered by
Yeah.
the Shield.
I
So-
don't know. Jinder Mahal is WWE World Champion.
Yeah.
All it takes. Because to be fair, look at the savage beating they gave Roman Reigns.
Yeah, but that was
Like-
3-on-1 though.
Yeah, but they absolutely destroyed
Oh,
him.
what's
All
this?
it takes.
Well, I'm,
Dave's
so, I'm,
gonna
so,
talk.
I'm sorry, but with Rollins and Ambrose kicking out of the White Noise Powerbomb double team, like somehow
Well,
I
that's
think
why-
that they can steam over.
That's why I'd have
Yeah.
that's why I'd make it a TLC. I'd have it a TLC match with the tag titles and the IC hanging. So then, if
How
Miz Taraj and
about-
Miz win,
How about...
Our producer has more to say.
oh, that should be
The
nonsense.
Shield versus Jinder Mahal. Drew, what's his name these
McIntyre.
days?
You mean 3MB?
McIntyre. And the other guy.
Heath Slater.
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. Was that your big
3MB reunite.
to vest the Shield?
Yes.
Are you sold?
No, Miz Taraj.
Actually, I'd watch that match, but like,
It just doesn't make sense. One's SmackDown, one's Raw, one's NXT.
The unification of the brands.
Put the WWE title, the NXT title,
Yes!
the tag titles, put them all dangling from the top.
Yes!
Pink slip to Heath Slater's
That's
The
tray.
lucky dip,
That's
please.
it. Pink slip, that's it. Oh shit, I'm the NXT champion. Damn it.
Good actually.
Jinder grabs the NXT title. He
If
goes
all the
back
titles
down.
are in like cases in bags, and you don't know which one you're grabbing, and you just have to go up and grab a title down, and you're looking like,
Basically-
oh, I'm the Universal title.
Did
It's
TNA
Stop
do that?
fired.
Was
You'll-
it
you'll
not
have
fired?
it.
TNA did that, didn't they? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what was that gimmick that they had with the
Feast
big
or
feast
Fired.
or fired?
Feast
yeah,
or famine.
stuff. Oh. Yeah, well, you could win a title shot, a title, or be fired.
Yeah.
That was, it was class.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was awful. Why on earth would you take part in a competition
Why
where you
would
could
you?
lose your job?
I wouldn't enter the
Because-
match.
Because then it's one of those where it's like it's risk or reward.
No,
So
yeah.
how much? So a lot of people that won the briefcase had never been champions. So
Right.
how much do you want to be world
Listen,
champion?
Oh,
If
I'd
I
love to
turned
be
up
world
to-
champion, but I'll take my risks floating in the mid card for
If I
6
turned
months.
up to work, right,
Yeah.
and what someone said to me, my boss said to me, okay, you've got to pick one of these cards. One of them is a pay rise, one of them you fired. I'd say I'm all right.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it.
But that's
You're a
50-50.
psychopath.
50-50.
I'm not going to choose.
This is
Yeah,
three
but
card
50-50.
Monty.
These had 4 different
All right, so
cases.
let's say the options were pay rise, you fired, you get a couple of days off next week,
Or you get my job.
or you get my job. I'm all right. Things are going all right for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk that.
I probably would.
Well, that's it. Kurt the Gambler Johansson.
Yeah. Why not?
How many gimmicks have you got now?
Kurt the job seeker Johansson after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
It makes me wonder though if the Mr. Eyes are just like you said a placeholder there. Who are the opponents going to be?
It's
Not
gonna be
3MB.
I don't think anyone else has enough momentum as a trio. Like, it just makes sense with Rick's, 4 weeks away? So, next week, Reigns is going to be wanting to get some revenge.
Sheamus, Cesaro, and Matt Hardy because Jeff's injured. That's a powerful trio.
So you'd say Matt
No, but
Higgins.
it doesn't make... Yeah, Matt's a face.
No,
but
I'm not knocking it, I'm just
but
saying.
that's it though. Like I'm just trying to think because
It doesn't
when
need
you
to,
look- yeah,
it
but when
doesn't
you
need
look
to
at
be
this-
powerful, it needs to be...
it does if they're gonna have any chance of winning them. Like yeah, you can have a teeth grinding match with plenty of near falls, but ultimately the Shield against the Miztourage, the Shield is going to win. Otherwise, it's going to completely undo
Okay,
the
so-
entire point of building up the Shield
yeah.
reunion.
Hogan.
That would be formidable.
But no, so... Right, it's one of those because they've teased that Ambrose and Rollins aren't quite on that page. They're more or less there. If you're adding Roman Reigns, it could still be too much conflict. So,
But
Miz-
Cesaro and Sheamus are already fusing with
But
Rollins
then-
and Ambrose though.
but that could be ended because of that match now. Because they've lost 2 matches against them. And, not being funny, but Reigns has just got absolutely destroyed.
I'm still not convinced.
I'd rather have
Unless you have-
I'd rather have
Well,
Mr. Raj than
I was going to
Matt
say unless you
Hardy
have Miz
going
with
with-
Sheamus
Or-
and Cesaro,
or-
but then what happens to Axel
Or
and Dallas?
Jordan, if he's turning heel,
He won't turn heel that way, I don't think.
it's a start of a heel turn.
What,
Joining
Jordan,
in-
Sheamus,
joining-
Cesaro?
Yeah, joining a heel tag team.
I would rather
For
see
a
them
match
three
against
than
the
the
Shield.
Mr. Raj.
I would.
He goes up
I don't
again.
think
He
it
comes
makes
out and
sense.
he cuts a promo
Yeah.
like, "I lost against the Miz, and you're not going to give me a title shot, so I'm going to go against the biggest guy that I can to prove that I can go with the big, with all the big guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to call out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes out and goes, "Who are you?" Just because of your name,
Yeah,
just because
yeah.
you think that you're hot shit, buries him. You know that's the start of something.
I like that idea.
It can at least lead to him
Yeah.
having more of an angry streak and him lashing
I
out.
like that idea.
Personally, I just like the fact that Mr. Raj are an actual team. They're showing that they're an actual unit. They've just destroyed Roman Reigns, so I think that's where the story would be. Unless they're doing Miz, Cesaro, and Sheamus, but personally, I'd do it where it's the only trio that there is in WWE at the moment against.
Well, time will tell, won't it?
The Undisputed Era
Bring up
versus
Sanity.
Shield.
Time, Sanity could be an idea. That could be an idea.
NXT stacked with stables. Just
Maybe.
bring one of them up.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
I think we've talked enough about Raw, but before we move to SmackDown, can we just give a props to how strong Braun Strowman was made to look on Raw?
Oh, he was.
And give Kurt Hawkins a big shout out for the
back. Kurt Hawkins' back.
for the beating he took. His back looked horrendous.
I thought it was brilliant. I like Kurt Hawkins. Says he's calling him out, and Braun comes out and he's running away.
It's like no.
Running away, and Braun's like, no, mate.
I think he's so underrated. I genuinely like Kurt Hawkins.
There's a place for jobbers on the roster, and it's an art being a good jobber because you still have to look.
And he does it
You
good.
know, yeah, it's not. Everyone knows he's going to lose.
To me, I'm not like, oh, it's Kurt Hawkins. Like,
Yeah,
I like
but
Kurt
he's still got the
Hawkins.
challenge of being
Yeah.
entertaining.
Yeah.
Like he still has to make people care about him, even though they know he's going to lose. And
Miz kind of got put
it's
in that
fantastic.
role, not as bad. But
Yeah.
we went through a stage where Miz was losing a lot.
But it just goes to show that you can exist and have a career in the Fed without having to
Let's face
slum
it.
over the fact that you've got a losing streak.
Exactly.
Let's face it was in GFW before this.
Yeah.
Before they even joined TNA.
Yeah.
So
A losing streak isn't the death of your career.
No.
It's not.
Sometimes
you're
it's
done.
it's a staple.
And they're actually using it as an angle.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know,
sta-
they're giving him something.
It can be a springboard into a talking point. Suddenly you can be involved in a
Being a
storyline.
jobber is a stable point because we're always going to need jobbers.
Yeah.
And if you're a good jobber, you're on TV every week.
Mhm.
You're going to get paid.
He gets mic time.
He gets mic time.
Look at Ellsworth.
He's doing a lot better than most guys.
Yeah.
that's
So
They're giving him something. He's getting TV time. You said, you know, he's getting an angle out of it. Or he's losing every week, but I do think he's one hell of a talent, Kurt Hawkins. I've
Mhm.
always liked him. I prefer him to Zack Ryder, to be honest with you.
this time in 2 years, Kurt Hawkins will be world champion.
On that note, SmackDown.
I thought I made the bold claims on this
So,
show.
SmackDown. What happened on
SmackDown was
SmackDown?
shite.
Have you seen what's going on with the attendances as well? The last 2 weeks, the pictures that I've seen,
Yeah, they just.
they're really, really empty arenas.
I think it's because Jinder and Shinsuke, as a program, is just not
boring
appealing.
me now.
It's not
Yep.
pulling.
It's
It
crazy.
isn't pulling.
And Jinder's grown on me. I think he's a great champion now. I really do. But I just think this
They have
is
no chemistry.
no.
But it's not just that, but how, like, he can't come out and cut 4 promos by himself. I know Shinsuke came out and attacked him, but Shinsuke's not done anything to help this
Yeah.
feud.
They
This
haven't
is
done
a
anything for Shinsuke.
well titled feud.
They've given Shinsuke no chance to get himself over in this feud. If you're gonna have him backstage, at least have him come out.
Yeah.
I saw it as saying, "Oh, Shinsuke isn't doing this, he isn't doing that." But at the end of the day, it comes down to creative,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the way
that's
he's been booked is terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
it's crap.
just have him come out. Like, make it. I'd love to see an angle where Jinder's doing anything he can to avoid being hit with the Kinshasa, because he knows once he hits it, that's over.
Yeah.
And he can hit it on the Singh brothers, but he can never hit Jinder with it.
Yeah, like they always
Yeah.
end up taking the 4-4.
Yeah, and he just escapes out of the ring. Just do stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
so simple.
That's it. It's very pantomime. You don't need to rely on mic work. And that's another thing as well. Like, Jinder has been floundering with his mic work for the past 2 weeks. Like, the fact that he was calling him out and he was being, like, making all these kind of racist, like, stereotypical kind of stuff on the mic. And then he had to retract that because he realised, oh no, wait, hang on a second, that is, like, insanely racist. Rein it in.
I just like the fact that the fans are like, that's too far, yet the boo during the Bulgarian national anthem.
Yeah, that's it as well. It's
But
like,
guess why?
USA.
Because Shinsuke came from New Japan, so everybody immediately, like,
that's it. It's give one and take with
yeah,
the
it
other.
is.
That's
It
what
is.
it is.
yeah.
But I don't think SmackDown was that eventful. But before we
I
touch
called
on
it Rude and Ziggler.
yeah, well, I was just going to say
Yeah.
that before we touch on the main SmackDown angle, Rude and Ziggler is a
I
match
swear-
I'm looking forward to seeing.
I think we could give credit to Kurt because I think it was on episode 3. You mentioned that you think Ziggler's going to take it too far.
As soon as Ziggler showed his new persona, I said he's going to face. Bobby
He's going to
Roode.
end up facing Rude because he's going to piss him off by doing these entrances, and that's exactly what happened. And that should be a good feud from both.
Yeah.
The match will be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
that
keep, I keep saying Ziggler's becoming that guy that they put guys against now.
And like
No.
I said, where have you been the last 10 years?
That's always been Ziggler.
That's always been
I
Ziggler.
don't know. I think it's
But nah, I think it'll
fuck
be.
you.
I think it'll be. I think it'll be a great match. But
Callum Machines.
something else that I called as well when the Usos were tag champs before they lost to New Day, I said they need to lose to New Day to continue the feud, and it needs to be inside Hell in a Cell for the rematch.
Yeah,
He's
he
going
did.
to be.
He
The
did.
Uso
be-
Penitentiary.
Let's call it the Uso Penitentiary.
Meltzer's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
nothing on Kurt Johansson.
Yeah, are you working with the Fed now?
I would.
He is.
Slipping them ideas.
Some of
So
your
is it?
tellers.
You're the WWE stooge.
Oh, it all makes sense.
Dude, I've got a Mike Skell t-shirt on.
Yeah, of course you have.
So the main talk about SmackDown, Shane and Kevin Owens, isn't it?
I guess.
No, I thought it was.
I think it is.
No, that was boring as well.
Well, I mean, that was the ending, you know. That's the main storyline they're going with on
Yeah.
SmackDown at the minute.
Like, I was so happy that we got to see Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn for the millionth time on WWE television.
I could watch them fight forever, so I'm...
It was only a million matches ago that they said they were fighting for the last time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could watch them two fight forever. I totally get where you're coming from.
Every match is the same.
But I just
Like 9 times out of 10, every match is in. Whereas if you have a look at Usos and New Day, even though they've had loads of matches, it's always a different match. Where the best spot was basically Kevin Owens destroying Sami Zayn, and then
He murdered him.
yeah, that's where things got
I
entertaining.
don't know if it's really classed as a spot when it's the entire match. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah, we'll do this spot.
the
where-
apron powerbomb
Yeah.
and then the chair on the neck. And I thought it was clever that
That
he
was
threw
good.
it into Shane to get away.
Yeah.
Because usually a heel would just be like, oh right,
He drops
someone's
it.
music played, I'm going to drop this and run away.
Well,
He threw him into
yeah.
Shane.
Well, he did the run away, didn't he? Like, it
Yeah.
showed us he was running away, and then out of nowhere, he's come back and thrown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I liked.
And
like
kudos
that.
to Shane McMahon's limo driver. Perfect timing getting there just in time for the end of the show.
Well
I mean,
played.
there you
he
go.
played that really well, you know.
Yeah, he did.
Couldn't have timed that any better, but apart from that, SmackDown wasn't...
Zack Ryder's
No.
turning heel.
Yeah, it was
Breezango's back next week.
Breezango's
That is
back.
a good thing.
Yes.
That is a good thing. I wish we'd find out who this actually is now who's attacking them, because
It
it's
needs
going
to-
on forever.
Yeah.
My money's
But-
still Harper and Rowan, but...
yeah, they've been off TV for a long time.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks
I'm-
claimed it was them last night on Reddit.
Yeah.
Love it.
US title stuff.
I think Corbin's going to be your next champ.
Yeah, maybe.
That's.
I've got
I mean, I'm a huge Corbin mark.
Sign me up.
I used to like Corbin, but I've got bored of him.
I love him. My boy.
He needs, well, you know,
The material.
if anyone's having a good match,
I mean,
with
you
him,
want
it's
that
going to be
He's
AJ.
good, isn't he?
It is.
You know, and I think even if he loses against AJ can make him seem like a formidable foe,
Yeah.
which
I'm not-
should help to pick up his stock a little bit.
I don't know because he's lost the briefcase, then lost against Cena.
Oh, that's
Then if he loses against AJ Styles,
What did
then-
Jinder do?
Don't know.
He lost everything.
Yeah.
And his job. And then he
yeah,
came back.
Yeah, that's it.
I think
He is
So
currently
all they
one
need
of
to do
the
is
worst booked champions ever.
Yeah.
I think Corbin's winning the US title, then I think Styles is going to move into a world title picture.
Oh, yeah.
Styles Shinsuke.
Yeah.
I think they might do something.
I think
similar.
that'll be Mania, Styles Shinsuke.
I think AJ is the kind of person that they can do what they did with Cena and Rollins, where it was the two titles on the line. He won both, and then he dropped one. You know, when Rollins won both of them at SummerSlam, because that was awesome, absolutely awesome.
I've seen
Like,
Styles as a
you've
dual
got
champion.
Both, like, you know, it's not the first time it's happened.
Mm.
I don't
Okay,
even
put the
think he'll
tag
be.
belts on him as well.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a dual champion. I think it'll be one of those things where it closes out the pay-per-view, he's holding both belts, then they address it on SmackDown and he goes, right, you've got both titles, you can't logically defend both, so you're going to have to choose to drop one. So he drops one,
If Corbin,
puts him back into the main event, he basically, it's a skipping stone.
personally, I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't because I think they need two separate belts because they're struggling to build.
No, that's exactly what I mean.
What
They're
you're
not, he wins both, he has both belts, but he can't defend them both.
The only
So
problem
he
with that.
drops the
but
US title.
the-
Then they
it's
can
the
have a
build.
tournament. Then it means that you've got Rude, Ziggler, Corbin.
There's too many tournaments in wrestling.
Yeah, no, but you can have that kind of a thing. Suddenly, there's a rat race for the US title.
Yeah, yeah.
It's reshaped the main event picture. AJ doesn't have to have his rematch for the US title because he's choosing to keep the
World.
the world title. So suddenly, it helps to completely reshift the SmackDown kind of title.
They
kind of
could
game.
do that with Styles losing to Corbin though. Like
I don't think
I
think
just-
Corbin's winning that.
no, but
I think Corbin's winning.
all it takes is Styles to lose to the right person. Because I just think that if he goes for the title, then that's Styles doing his US title defense stuff and chasing the title. That's a lot of programming when they're struggling to get other people over. So as cool as it would be, because I'm like the biggest like I love AJ Styles, but I just don't think it'd make sense when you're struggling to get people like Rusev, Bobby Roode, Ziggler. You've got that many people to have one person hold 2 titles and be in 2 title pictures at the same time.
No, but that's exactly what I mean, though. He wouldn't.
I'll call it now.
Because he would win.
No,
he
but the
would win
build
all
up he has to be.
Corbin wins the US title. Bobby Roode
That's what I was going to
Then-
say.
takes off Corbin.
Road vs Corbin.
Yeah. Right, on that, we've had enough of this talk of all this. Let's move on to the 3 count, which is where we discuss what we think are the 3 hottest topics of the week of wrestling. And we're going to start, because we didn't talk about it on the Raw discussion, Neville and Enzo.
So
Double 10, was it?
Enzo's going to be a rapper.
MC Zo.
That happened.
Yeah.
So there was kind of a double 10. I don't know if you saw 205 Live this week, but Neville goes to the top rope and he's about to do his red arrow, but he looks at the crowd like, I'm not quite face yet. I'm not going to give it to you. Like, nothing's changed. I'm still the same person. And what I like about this feud is Enzo hasn't turned heel, Neville hasn't turned face. They're both still the same characters, but the fans have just realised Enzo Amore is a dick.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's an organic. They just realise, he's a prick, basically.
And the situation that Neville is in now is he's standing up to Enzo, which makes him seem like a face. He's still the same guy.
Yeah.
That's it.
I don't want Enzo Neville to be a face.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm enjoying his heel
well,
work.
look at what happened on Raw. It was addressed briefly, and they carried this on the post-Raw taping. If you go onto the WWE YouTube channel, they had that whole beatdown. Neville.
It was shown on 205 Live as well.
There you go. See, they had a recap on 205 Live. So Neville comes out, calls out Enzo. You know, scumbag, you cheated, you low-blowed me. What kind of a man are you?
No,
Enzo is there. He was in the ring.
out.
Yeah, he was in the ring. Sorry, he was like, "Oh, I won the title. I guess I'm gonna have to retire my shirt." Neville comes out and he's like, "Nah, come on, behave yourself. Who are you? You know, like not even 205 Live wants you. So." You know, you're a disgrace.
But before all that, because I feel like you've jumped.
Sorry, I'm just really excited. I'm just really excited.
Because throughout it was, I liked Enzo backstage doing his little stuff, and then like annoying Kurt Angle, he gets what he wanted with. If you touch him, like you're out of the title picture, you don't get a title shot. And as you said, like Enzo was, well, I might as well.
As much as people hate Enzo, I think he's putting eyes on the Cruiserweight.
Oh, God,
division.
and this is the thing.
Yeah,
that's exactly
what
the
he's
thing.
saying is right.
Yeah,
he is putting eyes on the
Like
division.
everybody came out, and I just liked where we just started ripping everybody. Like
it needs to be that cocky chicken shit.
But
and he said to
shite
Grand
heel.
Metalik, he was like flabby or something like that. He was like,
He called him fat.
There's
Yeah.
no way you're over 205 with that.
Yeah.
guy."
No way you're. Yeah.
And Cedric Alexander, the charisma vacuum. And,
Yeah.
That's it. So he's going off on a
and
tirade.
then that's when Neville came out
Yeah.
and fought, right?
Because, and at the end of the day, what they've done is they've taken someone that is good on a mic and they've put him in with all of these fantastic in-ring competitors, which, you know, this kind of merging of the two worlds is exactly what we was talking about with American Alpha, and how I felt like with the two working together is that they're a complete package. Now suddenly you've got a mouthpiece that can run 205 Live. People that are interested in what Enzo's doing, they can look, you know, sort of, 205 Live, I'll check that out. They get dazzled by all of these amazing in-ring competitors. They've got Enzo leading the charge as a mouthpiece. He's capable in the ring. He ain't doing flips. He's not doing, you know, acai moonsaults. He's not doing all of this amazing stuff that the other guys can do. But he's shown that he's got an edge to him. He's shown that he can do what it takes to win. And like what Kurt said, pestering Angle, mate, I'm the champion. You know, I'm trying to watch my back. Can you hook me up with this? You know, with this contract. Suddenly he's got this loophole. If you touch me, you don't get a title shot. Neville comes out facing the charge. I don't care if I don't get a title shot. You've done my head in. You won by cheating.
I'd rather kick the fuck out
I
of
would
you.
I would rather batter you. And then the beatdown happened.
Yeah.
But before the beatdown could continue, Strowman, again, because everybody loves him, getting him over as a face, he comes out, oi, you, batters him, power slam, middle of the ring, leaves.
You hear what he said to the Cruiserweights before he left though?
Do you want him?
He was like, do you want him?
It's all yours.
It's all yours.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Then all the Cruiserweights come in, and then they all took turns. Like, it reminded me of ECW One Night Stand 2005, where they got Bischoff in the ring, and they all take turns doing the signatures and finishes
Yeah.
on him. That's exactly what they did, and it got over a little bit of character, and it showed as well that they're all on the same page. The Cruiserweight division. It was really nice to see. It was all they detest. Now suddenly you've got a clear direction for everybody on 205 Live. They're all pointing towards Enzo, pointing towards the heel. They're pointing towards the title shot, like working towards the title. But they all laid hands on him. That's the thing as well. They all laid hands on him. So technically, we have a storyline because if everybody is hit him, then none of them are valid to go for the title.
So
now.
let's see how the WWE continuity is now. Let's see if they carry this on.
So, if you guys actually checked out the 205 Live, that they carried that
He's
on.
a very cocky little prick tonight, isn't he?
Yeah, I am.
So carrying on from the Raw segment that we was just talking about,
Yeah.
what happened then, Kat, on 205 Live?
What happened, Callum?
On 205 Live,
Yeah.
I didn't see.
Yeah, so
Have
I
you
have a
watched
job
it?
to go to, so I don't have time to
Whatever
watch
part
all
you
this.
saw, I obviously didn't.
So Kat, what
Did you
happened
not?
on 205
Yeah,
Live?
tell us what happened.
So the continuity, so he's coming out, he's got his crutches, he's wobbling to the ring
Yeah.
to open it, and he's like, well, he went, I had a clause where nobody can touch me, and well,
Yeah, I saw
you've
that.
all touched me, so I might as well I'm going to be retiring as champion. So that's where the continuity of, are they going to follow the storyline that everybody's touched him, and he kind of...
Oh right, yeah, but that's what we mentioned earlier. Like, he said he's going to retire as champion, but like, if like James said, if everybody is technically out of the picture, is this their way of bringing in a new challenger? Is like Neville gone? Are they bringing in a new challenger? Hulk Hogan,
Cruiserweight champion.
The cruiserweights can cruiserweight, brother.
That's it. There you go. That's it.
You know what?
Just
I'd
one of
do?
his pythons, but it's more than 205. Come on now.
Did you see how battered Enzo actually was though? Like
He took an absolute.
It takes a beating.
no,
does.
no, it's like
Scary.
So they went stiff on him.
Welts on his face.
Yeah.
He was.
lumps, bruising across both cheekbones, across his nose.
Mad respect, because the guy does take beating after beating, and it's gonna hurt.
I give 205 Live 6 months and it's going to be cancelled. They're going to drop it from the network, let the majority of that Cruiserweight roster go and bring in the guys into the main roster.
You heard that from the producer first. And
He always optimistic.
yeah. So moving on then, the return of Paige.
Well, before I was going to do so regarding challenges.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
All
Alright.
right. Oh, all right, I
Fuck your
forgot.
asses.
All right, calm down.
He's eager tonight, isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got
all
somewhere to be?
We all agree
No.
Hulk Hogan.
Because personally, what I'd do is because Neville was the guy that like initiated the beatdown, and I want to see him on SmackDown. So if AJ Styles defended the title against Corbin and kept doing the US Open Challenge, because Neville had already been in the building for 205 Live, you have Neville answer the challenge. So you've got Neville versus Styles, which would be brilliant. And on the flip side, because he's not really done too much, I'd send Sami Zayn back to Raw. I'd put him in the Cruiserweights.
You don't like Sami Zayn, do you?
Yeah, I want him to do something.
No, you don't.
I want him to
No,
do
you
something.
don't.
I want him to do
you
something.
You wanted to fuck off last week.
Let's put him on the products with less eyes.
How much does he weigh?
You know,
I don't know.
is
He's
there-
over 205.
I
Isn't he?
think
Sami Zayn.
I think the
Okay.
billing was
Okay.
196.
So,
I'm
Really?
pretty sure, or
Yeah.
it's just over 205. I know it's
Yeah.
not.
the reason
The reason do an Enzo and have a coffee and drop a deuce.
Yeah.
the reason why I say that is because Neville is obviously he's held that division. So if they're losing him, they need somebody respectable, not just a Sin Cara. So I thought Sami Zayn is a respectable name where people will actually go on the network to check out 205 Live to see Sami wrestle, like some of the hardcore Sami Zayn El Generico fans.
Yeah.
Plus it gives him
Nobody is watching 205 Live.
clearly us two were this
We-
week.
And
We
just,
enjoy
just
it.
touching on what you just said then, where is Sin Cara?
He's on SmackDown, not doing anything.
I'm gonna say, is he
got
just-
traded to Raw?
You
to not
see,
do anything.
see now, like as much as I like the idea of that working, Kat, I feel like they're trading off Enzo for Neville because they have the in-ring talent. Because I feel like you saying, oh, they need star power to take over to 205. I think you're doing the Cruiserweight division a disservice. I think what they need is someone that can do the talking. And now that they've got Enzo, they have a heel. They have a cocky, smarmy heel. They have their Miz.
Yeah.
The
Well, Sami
Cruiserweights,
Zayn's a very
the
over
Cruiser-
face.
but they don't need Sami Zayn.
That's the nicest thing you've ever
because
said.
now, with Enzo winding everybody up, it gives everybody else a chance to kind of get over as a babyface, or at least decide whether or not they want to align with Enzo. You can have all that kind of stuff, but before you're going to throw somebody else from Raw or SmackDown onto 205 Live, I think you need to give the roster as it is a chance to develop more of a character. Like with Drew Gulak and his like no fly zone stuff.
That was so good.
You know, like they're starting now suddenly like the competitors are building characters. Suddenly we're starting to see that's so and so, that's so and so, that's so and so. Give them a few more weeks to see one or two attempts at going up for Enzo to chase the title. Then maybe I'd start adding.
I don't know, because everybody else is stale. Every other face.
I think Enzo's going to save the Cruiserweight division. I think he's a shot in the arm that this division's needed.
Yeah, I agree. Like every other face has got quite stale because they've been chasing Neville and they've failed, and that's why. So, for example, like, because I haven't got anything against Sami Zayn, I just think he's been poorly written for. And I think the worst thing they did was send him over to SmackDown when Kevin Owens went over to SmackDown. I think they should have kept them separate. And I think 205 should blend more with Raw itself. So Cruiserweight shouldn't just stick with Cruiserweights. So he should be doing... So put Sammy back on Raw. He can sometimes chase for the IC, sometimes, and then decide he's going to go chase for the Cruiserweights.
Yeah.
So that's how you'd get time.
Well,
if you could choose one on terms of like their current work, Neville or Sami Zayn, if you could only keep one.
In WWE?
Yeah.
That is a hard one.
Who's been putting on the better work?
To be fair, I would go in.
Yeah,
Neville.
absolutely.
So that's
Neville.
why, personally, I'd prefer to see Neville on SmackDown than Sami Zayn, because I think Neville has got that momentum to go up the roster, where Sami Zayn needs nurturing a bit more now.
I think you could have them both on SmackDown, and I think that would be a great feud. Neville versus Sami Zayn. The feuded before.
Keep Neville heel.
Yeah,
they did feud before.
Yeah, and that was really good.
I like that. I like that idea. Yeah, I like that idea a lot. But I think that's enough on that, right? Because time's getting on. We've still got other things to talk about.
Yeah, I'm dreading how long this is going.
Paige's return.
Well,
Yeah, possible return.
Possible. Well,
yeah.
She returned to the Performance Centre, so she's been declared fit enough to be in the ring after her
she had neck surgery.
Yeah, she had neck surgery that coincided with 2 suspensions as well.
Yeah.
So the rumour is that she's going to SmackDown.
I like that.
I like that.
I can't wait to see her back.
Yeah.
I think in the ring and on the mic, she's one of the best workers they've got.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think she's fantastic.
And she's definitely the shot in the arm that the SmackDown Women's Division needs
Absolutely.
as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
That fucking it's boring. The SmackDown Women's Division's got boring. Man.
Paige is one of the most divas, female wrestlers in the last 5 years. Like she's good in the ring. She's got a great look. She's good on the mic. Yeah. So she's definitely going to win the title at some point.
Her promo would be killer. Her returning promo will be killer. I reckon. I think she'll.
Face or heel?
She'll come back as a face.
Yeah.
Whether the Fed want her to be or not, she's going to come out, cut promo, she'll be face.
Yeah.
They're going to pop for a return.
Yes, but I think there could be room, because you're going to have those idiot fans like you still do on Twitter that are like, Xavier Woods, and they're on about like the sex tape stuff, and I think all it takes is people to be idiots like that when they see her, to then Paige, when WWE can just like, right, Paige, just shoot on the crowd.
Yeah, but hopefully the fans won't be that stupid, because
there'll be some
really,
idiots.
like, who
There'll be
cares?
some idiots.
No one cares, do they?
No one cares.
Yeah,
but you get those idiots, you're right, and I just hope when she comes back they don't chant Xavier Woods or Brad Maddox or anything like that, because it's just...
There'll always be that section of
petty.
idiots that will do it.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll be drowned out by the mature fans in the crowd.
If Paige returns, if Paige returns to SmackDown, I think she'll take the title from Natalya, and then it means her and Charlotte can have a feud with Charlotte turning heel.
She needs to turn heel.
Charlotte's a heel.
And being able to
She's a heel.
She's not a face. Like,
No, she's a natural. She's like a dad. She's a natural heel.
Yeah.
She is.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely commands the ring as a heel.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's that self-entitlement.
Like, it is.
And she can, she could decide to heel out and be like, "Oh, where were you all when my dad was in the hospital? You know, where were you? Where was your support?"
Yeah.
You know,
to be fair, I think he got a lot of support. So I don't.
Oh no, he did. But that's it. It's like, how could you twist it? Because she has the sympathy angle, which will help her coast as a face for a while, as much as everybody wants to see
I
her as
wouldn't,
a heel.
I wouldn't use the dad angle because I think
No,
it's
but
quite.
no, just like
yeah.
just
But
hearing,
even the-
hearing, everyone will be like, "Oh, fucking Charlotte's back, awesome!" The same way as when Paige comes back, they'll go, "Oh,
Charlotte
Paige is back, awesome!" Yeah, so Charlotte is back. So people are people are happy to see her on TV, whether she's a heel or a face. But if Paige is coming back and she's going to arguably take the title because that she's been out of the ring for so long, people are going to want to see that for her to hold the title.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Paige and Charlotte feud, but how would you have that? Who would be heel and face? Like, you could argue that Paige does turn heels.
Yeah.
As
Charlotte
a
needs to be
champion.
Charlotte needs to be heel.
Yeah.
But I just wouldn't go. I just do the self-entitled Charlotte, where she's above and beyond all those because
the Queen, like
because
Queen Charlotte,
everybody's acknowledged, even Natalia acknowledged. Like, we're glad that your dad's better, and I think thinking he's Ric Flair. Where was you to support my dad? Everybody was there to support, so I don't think that'd make sense.
No, it's a very transparent excuse.
Yeah, so I'd just use it to Charlotte being Charlotte, like, I'm above all of you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it'll happen. I think she'll eventually go heel.
Yeah, or like now that she's back, it's like, oh, I see. You've let housekeeping's gone to shit since I've been gone. Since I've been looking after my dad. What is this division? It's a disgrace. Da 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 da. So I guess maybe that would be your angle.
The housekeeping, then Paige comes back. This is my house. There we go.
There you go. Good one.
Plus, I just think Paige is awesome, so I can't wait to have her back. Last topic: British wrestling. Dissect it, Ket. Take your scalpel out.
Now, so like a couple of us, so was discussion. Our producer Dave mentioned it. Like, it's 3/4 into. He's giving me a really weird face right now, but
That's his face.
Is that because you mentioned him by name? Or?
Yeah, but we've
mentioned him by name a lot tonight.
Yeah, so 3/4 way into the still no British wrestling on TV yet. Like, end of 2016, beginning of 2017, we had World of Sport coming back, going to be doing a series. We had WWE doing a weekly programming, and 5 Star was going to do the 128-man tournament, and
would still be going on now if they did it.
Yeah, so we've had we had so much promise for British wrestling getting onto the TV, and now we're 9 months into the year, and
we're still waiting.
The only thing that seems close is 5 Star re-emerged, but with a different TV channel.
Is this the Twilight Zone? Like, when is 5 Star the one that's actually...
So, WWE Weekly, World of Sport, and we get 5 Star Wrestling with a 128-man tournament for them to showcase British wrestling with Carlito in the main event.
5 Star appeared on Spike as Dominant Wrestling.
Yeah.
Great name.
With no British wrestling guys apart from WWE alumni.
So a British wrestling company.
Yeah.
We know British.
Well, they had McIntyre and Magnus.
Oh, they had some in the dark matches.
Yeah,
Let's not forget the non-televised matches.
So they promoted, all these guys are going to be here for our TV tapings. They all wrestled dark matches like Jimmy Havoc and people like that. They had Joe Hendry on commentary.
Yeah, I said last week I am familiar with 5 Star very much.
Lucky you.
Yeah, it just seems like they were WWE wannabe.
Well, it was meant that the Spike deal was for a series, so they did
128-man tournament they was going to do.
It sounds like they basically just want to be the WWE. It's
and guaranteed,
a rip-off.
If you get a chance, listen to Steve Saxon's podcast. Cause
is it out with the owner now?
Everything.
Does the owner sound like a bell end that he probably is?
It has to be a shout out to Steve Saxon on the iSax podcast for being the professional he was while speaking to Dan Hinkles, because the man
castrated the fucker.
I love how our producer shouts out other podcasts.
I'm fine with that. As long
not
as
ours.
If Dave's talking, I'm fine with him saying whatever he wants.
No, carry on, Dave, because he was saying something insightful.
Go on then, we're listening.
It isn't a great representation of a businessman, though Dan Hinkles would probably counter that argument with his own diatribe of disgrace. But it was meant to be an ongoing weekly series for them, but turned into nothing. The best part of it was the show coming to an end because it was a live broadcast. Kudos to the guy, he did a live broadcast of wrestling on British television, unfortunately, the big announcement of the 128 million man tournament.
Is John Morrison still their champion?
Yeah. Because he hasn't run a show since.
I didn't know if it just got.
It got cut off because unlike the WWE network, where if a show runs over, or the WWE, where they can ring around and say, look, we are going to overrun. I need another 10 minutes on pay-per-view. Yeah, not a problem, Vince. Throw us more money.
Morrison's cutting a promo. It just goes off.
Went off because the broadcast had to end.
So he's just beat Rey Mysterio in the final of this 8-man tournament for the belt, and he went in as champion, so he defended it. And then he's trying to plug this 128-man tournament. We're going to do nothing. That's we're going to make history in rest. Where's it gone?
It might as well have been one of those things, you get those comedy programs where they go, I'm going to tell you the ultimate thing that you must know.
Yeah.
The other person has cleared.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those, they're still going with the 128-man tournament. That's what they're doing on
They still want to do that?
Yeah,
so it's going to be across 30 weeks, featuring over 128 of the best wrestlers around the globe, and... Yeah,
30 weeks.
Yeah,
30
and they're going to be
weeks.
doing an arena tour. So,
It's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in
His
my
logic,
life.
his logic for a 128-man tournament
It's
is
one of
because
the-
it's never been done before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know
there's a
what else
reason.
has never
Yeah.
been done before? The Young Bucks and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, there we go again.
Don't give him ideas. Do not give him ideas.
That's a 7.5 month tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. So
Is he going to throw that £1 million at Punk as well?
So they're going to be filming. So I did read a comment where somebody asked, "Are you getting CM Punk?"
They've offered him £1 million, haven't
They replied we offered him the 1 million. He didn't get back to us. We've contacted him a few more times. He's still not got back to us. We are going to contact him again and still try and make it happen. So they're still going to try and get CM Punk to
Give up,
wrestle.
fellas.
No.
Give up now.
So
Guys, I'm going to give you a bit of advice here. If you're chatting to one of the ladies, and you offer and you offer to take her out on a swishy swashy meal, that's what you all call them, swishy swashy meals now, and she doesn't get back to you the first time.
It's like my dad giving me a date night.
If you contact her again and she still doesn't get back to you,
You give up.
you give up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not care.
Is this now Dave Adamson and Friends, by the way?
Yeah, I like it.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, 1st of February, they're going to be running the Echo Arena in Liverpool. So if you click on their events page on Facebook, their header is a picture of Carlito and John Morrison together. So when I was joking about Carlito, the first event I go on is Carlito and John Morrison together.
And they are a British-based company, right? They're a British wrestling company.
Yeah.
No, they're right. They are a British wrestling company. In fact, they're a wrestling company based in Britain. They never said there's
that doesn't mean
said there's going to be British talent.
that.
No, I agree with you, but that'll be their justification.
Yeah.
And so they struggled to sell tickets last time.
The Manchester bombing happened last time.
So according to them, it was because of the Manchester bombing. But let's face it, their best tickets to get front and second row, I think it is, £150 because they will be VIP tickets.
I would want to be sat
ring.
in the, I was going to say, I want to be sat in the middle of the ring.
I want to be guest referee for that match.
So for third row and backwards, just for the floor seating,
Backwards is definitely accurate.
£45.
Okay,
To be in the tiered seating is £30. Same with bed tiered seating.
Is that for women?
15.
It's very sexist.
Yeah. So the early. Yeah,
I wouldn't think they are.
So they had a.
Look, they've got to pay Carlito and the other guy.
Well,
Look, so for one of the posters that they had before they cancelled, Rob Van Dam was in the middle of it. To his left was Moose of Impact Wrestling. Below them was Carlito.
Oof.
To the right was John Morrison.
Will it be?
Then they
will
did
it be
decide to put
Johnny 5-star
Ligero
for
on
this?
it.
Hey!
So they did put Ligero on it.
Ligero.
Will it be Johnny 5-star for this promotion or?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
good one.
So
No, not knocking
Yeah.
him. He is a,
So-
you know,
No, it's
he
good.
changed his
Yeah, I
name
get
for
you.
him.
Yeah, I know how it works. I think that's good.
Johnny 5-star.
Yeah.
yeah, so I think the people that are going to be on the shows probably. I don't even know. Morrison, Carly,
two
Pete,
guys have
Justin
done a bit of
Gabriel.
video footage for them.
Oh, so there was Zach Gibson and Joe Hendry doing some commercials, but I am getting excited. Like there was
Probably
a lot
both
of
on commentary.
yeah, like Joe Hendry was on commentary.
No, I like Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry can talk like nobody's business, but putting him on commentary is a waste of Joe
Exactly.
Hendry.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, but I know I'd prefer to. It's just yeah. So instead of this weekly WWE UK, like we almost got it. So they did obviously they crowned the champion. Then they did some filming in Norwich, which looked great at Epic Studios, where WAW.
Oh, wasn't it over 2 nights?
Yeah,
and
so
they
they
only
did
showed
2
90
nights.
minutes.
Yeah, so they did 2
Before
nights.
you went,
No,
they went to Blackpool, didn't you, for
yeah.
the tournament? Yeah.
So over 2 nights in Norwich, but yeah, as Dave said, they only showed about 90 minutes. Cut out quite a lot of the matches. Just did it as a UK special rather than part of the weekly tournament. And yeah, so
It's like running Starcade as a house show.
Oh, go there.
Well, how would you bring that up?
Do not set me off again
Oh.
on the most fucking stupidest thing
yeah,
ever.
And all of the
Let's bring back Starcade.
There
No
it
one
is.
can see it.
They're gonna be running SSE. So they're going to be running the SSE Arena in Belfast as well.
Ooh.
Like the audacity that they think they're going to be selling out these sort of places when, it's just yeah, it's frustrating.
It's
Catch triggers.
definitely set up to fail.
Yeah, I would think so. Is that anything else on British wrestling, or should we call that a wrap?
Well,
On the plus side, though, Progress ticket sales appear to be pretty good for their Wembley show, which is now a year away.
Which we all need to go to, by the way.
Yeah, we're all going.
Yeah.
Gates
all
already
going.
got himself tickets, so.
If you get a chance, listen to Eric Bischoff's podcast, because he does explain to Progress Wrestling and anybody else that wants to run a SSE size venue, well, an arena size venue, he does give them some advice, because as we all know, this is Progress Wrestling's first attempt at running an arena or a venue over 700 people. So it's good of Eric Bischoff to give that advice out, not having heard of Progress Wrestling, it seems.
Does he not know that ICW ran the SSE? And
Oh, he does. He's heard of ICW. He just feels that if there are big hurdles to running a venue the size of that, and what Progress need to do is make sure they've got the fans who'll turn up, because it's better to run a small venue and sell it out than a big venue and find out nobody likes you.
this is
Eric Bischoff.
Why
yeah.
was he even discussing Progress?
His co-presenter brought up that they were running a show a year down the line, and just threw it out there to see what Eric thought. And Eric, who I assume doesn't know Progress very well, gave that advice.
I mean, he's not wrong, but it's patronising to think that Progress
yeah.
wouldn't realise that.
But
Yeah.
they've done Brixton, they've done Alexander Palace. Like this is the next big step, and
There isn't a show
ICW
that doesn't sell out for them.
ICW did it. Like ICW got what 6,000-7,000 was it? So it wasn't a full sellout, but
No,
they
and that's-
It
still.
was a comfortable fit.
That's
Yeah.
a decent amount, that.
Yeah, there's a
But
vast difference between selling out the tickets and selling out the venue.
Yeah.
And the beauty of selling out your tickets is it means that you can release more tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
give
you
the
estimated,
illusion-
Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
give the
Like-
illusion of it selling out
Yeah.
fast. Suddenly, it becomes a hot commodity. People want to chase out on those
Well,
tickets.
people are coming
Yeah.
from America for this. So I've already seen like on social media that people from America have already booked like the hotels, and they are
That's
coming
so
over
cool.
from America to Progress Wembley.
That's
Like
fantastic.
we do for going over for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
They're coming over for Progress.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and like they've been to America a couple of times now,
Mm.
and
They're going back next year.
Yeah, and their shows they sell out. Like, and again on social media, I knew people that was travelling from different states to wherever Progress was running their show, just so they could finally see Progress live. And I think it was at WrestleMania weekend, from all the pictures that I saw, even from sort of Evolve was running in the same building as Progress, but
Yeah, they were.
it was the Progress show that seemed to have the most fans. Like everybody just cared about Progress. Like,
I saw more Progress t-shirts in Orlando than I did any other like Evolve or anything.
Yeah.
yeah.
And there was so many Progress t-shirts it almost rivaled the Bullet Club like for the amount that you saw, and that says a lot.
It's absolutely crazy for a company that's tagline is started from the bottom. Now we're here because they shouldn't have become the major player that they have been, and they've done it consistently for 4 and a bit years now, going on 5 years. You rarely ever get to buy a ticket for a Progress show if you don't buy it within the first 5 minutes. I've never known anything on Twickets go so quickly.
Oh, as soon as an email comes through, if you try and go on it to get a ticket, it's already gone.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, on that bombshell, I think that's enough for this week. Callum, do you want to plug the social media?
Yep, so you can find us on Twitter at OneFallPod, Facebook at OneFallPod, YouTube at OneFallPod, and James, where can we find you?
You can find me on social media as Roman Oyster, and you can find my gaming channel, Gamers Assemble, on YouTube, and again on Twitter, Gamers Assemble.
Okay.
On Twitter, you can find me at KJohansson93.
And Jamie?
Twitter, at the Overweight Cruiserweight. No, I'm not. I'm at the OWCW.
Yep.
Sorry, yeah.
And Dave, where can we find you?
on the internet,
Where on the internet?
on Twitter,
What's your Twitter username?
at Dynamic Thinking.
Can we find you anywhere else?
Yes.
Where?
Instagram,
What's your Instagram?
at Dynamic Thinking.
Anywhere else?
Yes.
Where?
Snapchat.
What's your Snapchat?
I have absolutely no idea. I don't know how Snapchat works.
Fantastic, thanks Dave. And you can find me at Palace of Wisdom. Don't forget to email us your suggestions, your feedback or anything else at onefallpod@gmail.com. And I think that's it for plugs.
That's it. Thank you for listening to us. We'll see you again next week.
Peace.